righty, guys. Bobby Roast Beef here with another episode of Jigs and Bigs. And man, we have a great one going on. Tonight, we're recording with special guest co-host. We got Becca Yaseen with us. Becca Y on YouTube. That's a new thing. She'll be talking a little bit about that, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
Who the fuck is Joe Brown is in the house with us, and he's got a little bit of a dilemma that he's working with. There might be a broke on the boat situation coming in a future episode about this whole situation. It's going to involve couches and therapy and all kinds of stuff. In the beef seat this week, we've got a badass steelhead angler from that fishes Erie, Pennsylvania. We've got Kaitlyn Conti, the stream queen, in the beef seat talking all kinds of stuff. We even do Pennsylvania edition of Overrated, Underrated. We have a real good time with it. We have a great conversation, too. You're going to want to stick around for that. All kinds of exciting stuff to talk about this week, guys. I don't even know what's happening for just the tip. We got an awesome FTG this week that involves turtles and all kinds of great stuff that you will not want to miss, guys. More Jigs and Bigs coming up in just a bit. Go ahead, get yourself something to enjoy. I'm enjoying quite a few things right now. We'll see you guys in a bit. Don't go too far. We got jig heads coming out of every single which angle in here. We got Todd Sefton in the house. We got Jay Manning in the house. Ryan Bogley, BFS Bogley, is with us. We'll talk about what that's all about. Dan Griffin's in here with us. John Hagen's in here with us. John and I have an appointment on the calendar. He's going to be in the beef seat soon. Who else is in here? Tim Behan is in the house. Damn. What an amazing lineup of amazing jig heads, amazing individuals, amazing co-hosts tonight. This is great. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing well, man. Lots of packing going on in my life, so exciting stuff.
Yep. You know, I'm surprised, Becca. So I'm not going to blow up Becca's spot, but she's in a moving process right now. But, you know, there's one luxury that you have that could make this whole process very, very smooth, and it's your camper.
Yeah, I know. Like, I'm not even upset.
You can fucking squat anywhere you want, and you're good to go. I mean, that might freak out Lila a little bit, but I think you'd be all right, you know? You got the tools.
Just book a hip camp and Lila will join me anywhere.
I love that. I absolutely freaking love that. Yep. We're going to delay because Becca's got limited time kind of right now. So we're going to kind of let her go first. She's kind of blown up the internet recently. And we talked about it on the show about her. I would say we're looking at Becca version 2.0 right now. Yeah. Is really what we're looking at. You know what I mean? And I applaud that. I think it's amazing and it's a welcome thing. Why don't you how is it going for you right now? I know, like, you know, you and I talked and you were just like, this is crazy. That was a huge sponsor. Like, how am I doing? Like, is the future as scary as it was like 7 to 14 days ago? Or what do you feel like now? No,
not as bad. I mean, I'm very I think about things for a long period of time and then randomly just jump on it on a random day. And that's exactly what happened. Like, I think Googan and I splitting ways was like my last push that I needed to do it, because like I've been talking about changing my YouTube name for so long, and like it just that was my last push. And I was definitely nervous. I still am, because I still get so many comments of like, oh wait, I didn't realize this was your video at first or whatever, because it's not Fishing with Becca. And like, no matter how many times you talk about it, you're not going to reach every single person that's ever watched you.
Definitely.
Because I'm just known as Fishing with Becca. It could literally take, I've been doing this for 4 years. You take another 4+ years for people to realize that like my channel name changed. But absolutely. I think I'm at like a good point, you know, like I'm not like at a high, crazy amount of subscribers where it's going to be like, you know, messing with a bunch of people. I think I'm at a really good point to make the switch. But I think it was like the best decision for me, honestly. So like definitely less anxiety of the entire thing. I have a lot of great people on my team that I didn't realize was going to like rally to really like help make this happen. And they like, everything's working out really well. So I'm not even as stressed as I was. I was dramatic. I was scared.
Well, it's a big move. Anytime you leave a position or, you know, relationships change or something like that, it can be it's a lot. It's a lot for people to kind of like process.
It was like a financial thing mostly that was like the scariest for sure. But like
for sure,
I've already found multiple ways to like combat that like I'm a little upset. It took me so long to realize that I could have just done a different route than stick with Googan for as long as I did. It's definitely no secret that it should have ended a while ago, but
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like things just like happen and like everything's going so smoothly right now. Fingers crossed.
That's
because,
great.
Like, moving to Mass ain't cheap.
No, definitely not. Massachusetts is a real place, and they need your money. The state, it's just we're destitute here. We need your money. So thank you for everything.
Yeah, pleasure.
I will say this. I have what the hell was I going with? I love the fact that your last episode that you put out, the one that actually dropped, I think today, like a few hours ago.
Yeah.
Where you're camping at a truck stop and you make a very interesting couple of meals with unbelievably interesting ingredients.
I could have went harder, but they were missing a few key ingredients. Like I wish I could have done a couple more.
So I left a comment on that video, and I know you and I have talked about this before. There's a Rhode Island based like food content creator named Emmy. I think it's Emmy Homemade.
Yeah.
She does like cooking videos and stuff. She did a whole series, and all of these recipes came from a book that I think you should just run with and do this in the camping world. All of these recipes are all from prisoners in jail out of commissary.
Which so they're all like taking camping meals, if you think about it.
It totally is. I watched what you did with the hot dogs and the mashed potatoes out of the potato chips, and I'm like, this is perfect. It's perfect.
It looked good. It tasted good too.
It looked absolutely awesome. I turned in just the tip this week. I was thinking about. I'm just going to blow it now, but I made a little dinner today. My youngest was like, "Dad, what are we going to do for dinner?" I was like, "I have a bunch of stuff in my like pantry box that I keep in my truck for when I camp. That's close to outdate that I want to use." I had a can of like low sodium Spam, and I had a bottle of sweet Thai chili sauce, right? So I made a stir fry. I diced up the Spam, browned that all up all nice, and added some like a bunch of different stir fry vegetables, some kale and bok choy and stuff, and carrots and everything. Cooked all that down, and then just added the sweet chili sauce and just served it over rice. Dude, it was out of this world.
I've never had Spam.
You've never had Spam?
No, I don't know why. I'm like kind of scared of it, honestly.
Don't be scared. It's just pork. Like that's all it is, but it's like a pork meatloaf. You know what I mean?
I don't like pork chops.
Do you like ham?
I love ham.
Okay, so you'd like Spam because it's salty. It's cured like that.
Yeah, but the sodium in those things are insane.
That's why I use the low sodium. It actually tastes better.
Probably the only time like 800 milligrams of sodium.
Yeah, the only time I've ever tried Spam.
Why do you think I'm drinking this?
Yeah, the only time I ever tried Spam was I was deployed with some people from Guam, and I can't remember the name of it, but they made some kind of like Spam sushi thing and with like sticky rice and stuff.
Yeah,
I can't remember what they called it, but
it's like a little sandwich almost. It's like
yeah,
so good.
And like back, it just wasn't for me. Just too much fucking salt.
Yeah, some salty. Like I love salt. Don't get me wrong, but then there's just sometimes where it's like, oh, all right, like it's pure salt, not fun.
Spam is life when you heat it, and the butcher is right, 100%. With some mustard, dude. Like especially some grainy mustard. Yeah, baby.
I'll try it.
I'm all about. You know what we'll do next time we camp, and I'll get to this in a second. Next time we camp, I'll make one of these Spam dishes, even if it's a breakfast thing. Just like frying up some Spam, something like that with eggs. It is dynamite. You'll absolutely love it.
I'll try anything once, twice, 3 times. You know?
Yeah, that's
whatever.
You're not picky, and I never realized the video you put together from the last time that you and I had camped last October. I never watched that video, and I watched it recently, and I was like, that came out really good.
She really made me look like a little bit.
I was like, she made me look like I knew what the fuck I was doing.
I got you. That's what I'm here for. Yeah, we haven't camped in a minute, man. But also my schedule is just so stupid. Like it's crazy. I'm going to be off grid all next week. But I got a Garmin InReach.
Oh, that's awesome. Nice.
So yeah, you're doing how that is. I hope.
Yeah,
it's
that's
gonna work,
awesome.
man. I only get 40 texts a month.
Well, that's kind of good though, because you want it to be for those what do you call it? Those emergency situations, or like, hey, I've arrived, and that's it.
Well, that's
gotta be
literally
good.
all I wanted it for. Because like I get nervous being off grid for more than just like me. It's like the people back home. Like I don't want anyone to worry about me.
Yeah.
Like that stresses me out. So like having it, and like I already added my mom to you have to like add them to the app before you go anywhere. And just gonna send text and be like, hey, like we're good. And then that's it. But like if I catch a big fish, like I want to text and be like, hey, I caught a big fish, you know?
Can you send like pictures if you're like, look at this beast, and send it? No, InReach doesn't do anything.
Maybe. I don't know. That's a good I'll let you know. I'm gonna mess with it all week, you know.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm going East Guam. You know the spot. I've talked about wanting to bring you there. You know where I'm going back.
I know exactly where it is. In fact, like part of the week that I have had this week, I've got visions of Moosehead coming back to me. And
I'll be driving right past it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. But you and I are going to camp in the spot that I camped with Delirious in.
Yeah.
And we're gonna bring my new vessel.
Should I ever be able to, get my hands on it?
Yeah. When are you gonna know if you're gonna get it? Like, are you getting it? Do you know?
So I'm going to tell you where I've been lately. I have been deep in the cockles of Facebook Marketplace.
Yes.
I talked to
Instagram scrolling when you're on that app, man.
It's so bad. I really did.
Is this item still available?
That's exactly the problem.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what it is. I've been ghosted. Like I saw so I'll be honest with you, I have a list of like several different vessels that fit a certain checklist. Like I've got a budget. Back in February, I was ready to buy a brand new deep V hull loaded, ready to go. Like whatever, I'm just gonna pay it off. It'll be what it is. Now it's a little bit of a different story, because what's going on in the background is that there is the budding of a new partnership that's going on, not for a boat specifically, but for rigging and that kind of stuff. So there's something rumbling in the background there, and I kind of know
who you're talking about.
You might. I don't know. You might have had this conversation before. You might, but I had thrown out, some different ideas, and I have a vision. I want to get my hands on a boat that will primarily be used for making content. Like that's going to be the Jigs and Bigs boat. Like Joe is a tournament angler. Like I don't even want him thinking about putting hours on his boat and that don't involve going and doing his thing for money. You know what I mean?
It doesn't work anyway.
That's true. Actually, right now would be a great opportunity to do it. We could just go do circles and that'd be super easy. But so my goal is to utilize something where I have like enough seating to be able to bring, Joe and myself and a guest, or even two guests, sit down and actually record podcast content right there, record videos. So like I'm looking into rigging with like some 360 cameras so I can get multiple angles and all kinds of stuff like that. And there's like specific power things that I've kind of got in mind that make sense. Yeah. But really the road to getting there is content as well. So I'm kind of like, after I went out fishing with Matt, he's got a real nice bass tracker. It's a few years old too, but it's in great shape. And I'm like, you know what? This would do it.
I love my first boat was bass tracker. I loved that thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it would 100% would do it. Now you had more of a V hull, right?
I had a deep V. Yeah.
Yeah. That's exactly what I'm looking for, because should the opportunity arise, and I was talking with Nick DeShane, our guest from last week, just this morning about it. Should the occasion arise that I'm able to go to like the Great Lakes and troll, or, any large body of water, I'd like to be able to dabble in that. Do I think that's a type of fishing I'm always going to do? No, I'm probably not going to get a kicker motor.
Like a versatile boat. Like if you're going to spend the money, and like a deep V is also great for like inshore too. And like we literally live on the East Coast. So there's that option too.
So it's one of those things where I'm toying around with some stuff. I'm like, all right, let's see what we can do. I found I'm pretty much looking from like Maine to Pennsylvania. And there's six or eight boats at varying price levels. They all hit under or just slightly over my price mark that I'm looking for. I need a flat floor. I need a console because I considered, I was like, do I want to go with a tiller? Do I want to be that guy? And I'm like, no, I don't.
That's like northern Mainers got that going.
I know. And I'm like, I don't know that that's what I necessarily want to do. So I'm looking for, a console. Ideally, I'd like a 4-stroke because I just don't want to have to worry about mixing oil and gas.
Yeah.
But the more that I look into it, I've been hearing from people that that maintaining and repairing a 2-stroke is infinitely cheaper than maintaining and repairing a 4-stroke. So I'm like, I suppose I could see the benefit to either side. I have a couple of boats that are on this list where I know these dudes are asking way too much, like a couple grand over what I think is reasonable.
Have you tried lowballing? I'm really good at lowballing people.
I'm for sure going to be, but there's one specifically that's a goddamn unicorn. And Joe knows this guy. And he also follows Hookset Hoodlums too.
And he's over asking?
No, he's not over asking. This is right in the pocket. Like exactly what I'm looking for. The boat looks clean. Come to find out, like he dabbles with flipping boats and he apparently does great work. And I guess it was Thursday he dropped the ad. Maybe it was Wednesday. And I think Thursday morning I dropped a message to him immediately. And I was like, yo, this is the one. I'd love to check it out. Could we meet at this body of water? He has since seen that message. So I went to his profile and I DM'd him directly. And I was like, yo, looks like we know some people together. I'd love to take a look at your boat. Blah, 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 blah. Nothing. Crickets. Still available. Yeah. And here it is Sunday. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Like I was ready to just go and hand over cash as long as I could take it on the water. The main thing is I'm not going to buy a boat that has soft spots on the floor.
No, don't do that. Yeah.
Yeah. But especially me. No way. Or was taking on any kind of water. Like, and the ones that mentioned that, I'm like, thank you, no thank you,
Yeah.
So that's where I am. I'm like, I think it would be a ton of fun to get a vessel and like work on building it, create that content, bring people through the journey, and then go like and do some cross-country shit, someday. We'll get that. We'll get this podcast to where I can afford to take time off. That's what would be great. That would be awesome.
Make sure
then I could do
a good trailer too, because I've had every boat trailer issues, every single boat. I'm selling my sailboat, $1,000. Take it.
I thought you already sold it.
No, it's still like this in the backyard.
No shit.
Yeah, I can't get it down. So yeah, it's worth a lot more than $1,000. Like it's a clean boat. Like, was it 1973 sailboat? It's like an antique O'Day. Like, it's beautiful. It's just tipped over. So if you want to untip it and take it,
it's all yours. Yeah, there you go.
My parents want us gone so bad that
I'm sure that they do.
Yeah, I'm on their shit list right now.
I'm sure that they do. My God. So what was your week like, Becca?
So I found out that I have family in Canada, which is like insane because I love Canada. Yeah, I went to Canada. I met them before I went to Texas and Oklahoma. We had like a family party at my grandma's house, and they came down for it. And my entire life, I guess we just haven't been able to cross paths for some reason. Like I've hardly heard of them. It's like my family's just weird. Like I don't know. And the second I met them, it was like I knew them literally my entire life. It was like the weirdest thing ever. Like they were so awesome. We ended up going out for breakfast the following day, and I was like, these people are so cool. And they wanted me to come up, and I was like, hell yeah, like why not? So I went up to Canada for like a week and hung out with them for a few nights, and I got sick the first night, like really, really bad.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was supposed to be there like Thursday night, and I got there at like Thursday at maybe like 1, and everyone was still at work. Like no one was at the house. And like I barely know this family. Like I do, but I don't. And I remember I called them and I was like, hey, I'm not feeling good. Like, is there any way to get inside the house? And they gave me the garage code and everything. And I was sick the entire night and day. Like it was. Yeah, I don't know. I think I accidentally ate dairy, so that was my bad. But yeah, Yeah, it was fun, man, though. I loved it. I ended up filming some good videos that I have to crank out and whatnot before I head over to northern Maine. And then, yeah, it was a really, really good week, though. Like, one of my favorite weeks. Yeah.
That's badass.
Then I have another trip soon, too, when I come home. So I got a lot going on coming up.
No shit. Well, I mean, it's the season for it. You know what I mean? Like, summertime kind of opens things up. You don't have to worry about, any ridiculous weather up north or anything. You can do a lot of traveling.
Yeah. And I'm going north, not south. I can't, like, when I was in Texas, a couple days reached like 80, but the humidity was like in the 90s. I was dying. It was insane. I'm not meant for that life. I just love winter. I can't do it. I can't.
I'll take that humidity. I want to be out of here so bad.
Nope. I literally sweat so much, man. Like, it's so bad.
Enough. I've had enough of the snow. I'm done.
Can't relate. I would swim in snow every day.
And I want to be able to put the boat in all year long.
I mean, if Rhode Island, you barely get anything. You're in Mass. You get like a month a year.
But I still gotta. Yeah, you're probably right. Actually, that's how it's been late. That's how it's been lately.
Yeah, winter's bullshit right now. Anyways, so you're good.
You can fish the Cape all year.
Oh, for sure. Like, no doubt. Oh, definitely. It's so bad.
You go out by the coast, you're good to go. You get out up in the mountains, like in the Berkshires, and forget it.
The White Mountains and stuff like that. They get a little bit more real winter. We used to get real winter.
Even growing up, I remember.
It's gone now. And going. We had a place up in New Hampshire, and people were driving their cars out on every single lake in New Hampshire, like during ice fishing season. Yeah. Now it's like so rare that you can drive.
Oh yeah, no. Used to do that around here, and now we don't even get ice. So.
Yeah, my dad used to do the same thing in Rhode Island. He used to drive his vehicle on ice, and he hasn't been able to do that in like a couple decades, man.
Oh yeah, no go. Yeah. No go. Sad. You got to go to like fucking Idaho and shit like that. Like, you got to be.
That's like the last fucking place I'd go. Idaho.
Even like all the places like the Lake Champlains, the Great Lakes, all those that like the people. Yeah. Even like where they would have like almost like highway systems for the ice fishing and stuff. I mean, you're constantly like last couple of years, you're constantly hearing about people's ice houses going through, their cars going through. It's been insane.
Yeah, it's just there's even when we did get ice last season, like it was. Yeah, there was barely times I could sleep out on the ice. I slept out on the ice on 4 inches of ice because I was so desperate. Yeah,
that's sketchy.
Yeah, shit. I wouldn't have done that. Definitely no.
The video didn't even do well, so it wasn't even worth it.
No, it wasn't even worth it. That's like such a slap in the face when you're making content like that. You're like, dude, I can't believe I risked my life like this for you guys. It's fucking amazing. And you're like, oh my God, what?
Yeah, no, I could have done the easiest video known to mankind, like. I probably would have doubled the views, but I risked my life. So it's fine. It's totally fine. Love this job.
Friggin' bananas, man. It's friggin' bananas. Joe, how was your week?
Oh man, it was unfishy. I'll tell you that.
It was unfishy.
Yeah, I'll get into that last, but yeah, man, took it pretty easy. The work thing or whatever. Over the weekend, my wife had a friend in from Utah. And she was staying in Providence, actually. Her boyfriend's from Providence. So we went out there. We went out to Providence for the night. They're much younger than us. And then, us being in our... Yeah. Me being almost 40, my wife in mid-30. Couldn't hang like we used to.
I can't hang. I'm young. I went to my first ever club for Lila's birthday on a Friday night. And I went into the bathroom and just like... shed a few tears and dipped. I couldn't do it. I hated it, man.
Yeah, it was Sunday morning was a rough morning, and then like we really like her and I almost shed a tear because we had we had plans to meet up with some of my siblings up in at a brewery. So it was a quick turn and burn, and we went to Oakhome near me. Bobby's familiar, but we spent like the entire day there. They had a really good Tom Petty tribute band. It was really good.
Where'd you go in Providence?
So we went to and got food.
friends, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we went there, then we went to the rooftop.
What was the name of that place?
I heard that place sucks.
Jackie's. Okay.
Yeah, it's like a sushi place. Yeah, the rooftop. I'd never really gone out to Providence like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was. It was like it was. I mean, it was good. Overpriced.
Yeah.
But they had like the lounge chairs with like the fire in the middle, so that wasn't bad. And it was like the music wasn't super loud, so we could like they were actually able to like talk and stuff. So the last thing I wanted was I was praying that they didn't like say let's go to a club or something, because that's not my scene whatsoever.
I learned that the hard way.
Yeah,
I can't. I don't even like going to the bars. Like I don't like anything like that.
Yeah, like I don't mind chilling at something. So it wasn't bad. It wasn't busy. And then we stayed at the Omni.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so we stayed. It was actually pretty cheap. Yeah, it was actually pretty. So funny story about the Omni. My wife and I are terrible. We always like randomly be like, "Hey, on this date, maybe we should go to wherever." So I'll go on my phone onto like whatever app I'm going to use to like see how much a trip would cost, and I must have did that, and then the app like saved those dates. So I actually originally booked the hotel for the end of this month on accident. So I get there and I'm like, I pull up. They're like, "Oh, you ever?" I'm like, "Yep, checking in." She's like, "Oh, is it under a different name?" I'm like, "Nope, should be under this name." And then she's like, "Oh, well, do you have a confirmation?" I'm like, "Yeah," and then I'm all like, "Yeah, of course I have a confirmation number. Let me check my email." Go to the email and write in the email. It's where I'm like, "Oh, from June 28th to 29th. I'm like, "Oh my God." So thank God they had a room and they gave it to me for the same price. Wow. Yeah, that's kind of the second time I've done that. So she's booking.
Third time's the charm.
Yeah, I told her, I was like, "You're in charge of booking." But
yeah, you're fired, dude.
Yeah. So other than that, man, I might get another dog.
What kind?
Another dog?
That's a new one. Yeah, so I got Draco, my shepherd. He's actually laying under me. I just saw him
pop up. Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, he's laying under me right now, farting up a storm. It smells awful right now. But
it's dog life.
But yeah. So the breeder we got him from, they have a few dogs, and they right around the time we got Draco, they imported a female from I think Czech Republic, a shepherd, and for some reason like that the females in her like kennel are not getting along. So she reached out. She's like, "Hey, I know you do real well with the training and stuff. I hate to do this and even think about it, but would you be willing or have interest in, taking this dog?" So we think we're going to. They're actually down in Cumberland, Rhode Island. So we want to go down there and like meet her since she's gotten older, but she's almost 2 now. But so next weekend we're gonna go down there and see. So maybe that'll happen. And,
hey, more dogs the merrier, man. That's like my life goal is to have a whole like plot of land with like
dogs are the shit.
Dogs.
I mean, Bobby's got a couple. I used to have 2 shepherds, but now I just got this ding dong. But other than that, let's talk the boat thing real quick.
Yeah, this is interesting.
Let's talk the boat thing. So, as you know, I had to drop it back off because I was having the same issue with my trim motor, or my tilt motor, I should say. And then so it went down. They're like, "Yeah, man, it's fixed. You're good to go." I'm like, "Cool." Drove down the hour and a half. I go and pick it up. I get back. I drop it in the water. I'm still having a issue with the tilt. And then my live well pumps aren't working. My nav lights aren't working.
Oh no shit!
A couple other like
snip a wire.
It's something like my boat has like the oxygenator and like the dry dock, the fan that blows through the deck. None of that was working, and I was about to blow a gasket. So I call them. I'm like, "Hey, like this shit's still going. Like it's still that problem. I brought it down plus all this shit now." They're like, oh yeah, we can probably get you in like 3 or 4 weeks. I'm like, oh no.
I'd go full Karen real quick.
Yeah. And like, I'm like the most easygoing person, but like, I'm really struggling with this place right now, and because I'm leaving Monday, not this Monday, next Monday. I'm heading up to St. Lawrence River for a week.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, because the opening, right?
Yeah. So I'm heading up there, and I'm like, hey, I have to have this back by this date. And like the email I got, they gave me like Friday or whatever. Like you could tell he wrote it right after, like right before he left. So he didn't get my response. I was like, oh no, I don't care what you have to do.
Yeah.
Get it at least to the point where I can use it. And I got to come get it. Like,
yeah,
I'm not fucking around with this. So talking to a few people, talking to my wife and stuff, it's becoming very clear that, you know, what they call like the COVID cars, the COVID boats, all that, just the shit that was just pumped out, you know, during the pandemic and just didn't have the build quality that they typically have. I'm starting to realize I have one of those units. And so I'm thinking I might try. I mean, when it's working, the boat's awesome. I put a ton of work into it, put a ton of money into it. So I'm probably going to go down to at least take a ride down to Thayer's Marine and, you know, see what he would be willing to give me for the Skeeter and maybe get into something down there. So just so I have something that's
less headaches.
Oh, and my biggest fear is like, you know, the warranty is only good for another year.
Yeah.
So then what? You know what I mean? Just in all these problems I'm paying out of pocket, and I'm not about that. So
yeah,
even my wife, who I couldn't believe it. She's like, yeah, we probably should look into doing that. And I'm like, okay. I was like, you said it. You said it.
Yeah, you should have got that in writing.
Yeah, just because she knows, she's like, it's going to be money constantly if this shit keeps happening. So yeah, that's where we're at. The Skeeter's still limping down in Connecticut, Southern Connecticut right now, and I will have an update for you guys next week for sure.
That is fucking nuts, dude. That's crazy. Although I think you got the right mindset. You know, like sometimes you got to know when it's time, quite literally, to jump ship. You know.
Yeah. And it sucks because I love my boat, but I can't be dishing out fucking thousands of dollars every year because Skeeter decided to pump it out when they shouldn't have.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's rough, dude. So
yeah, man.
You guys want to hear something that's interesting? We have been streaming right now for 37 minutes, right? Having a great conversation. And in 222 episodes, for the first time, I forgot to hit the record button over here for the audio. So I hit it 9 minutes ago. So I want to let the listeners know that I will be editing from the stream to here. So if you're like, hey, the first half hour of the show doesn't have the same audio quality as the rest of the show, that's why, folks. This is why I run a backup. This is exactly why. When they say 2
this
is
is
1,
the first time,
1 is
Bobby,
none.
huh?
Yeah. Over 200 episodes.
First time I've ever even had good audio coming on here too.
Man, Becca just went through all that fucking shit to get her mic.
Well, no.
What?
We're at least the last 9 minutes are solid gold. And when I say it's like, oh, the audio might not be ideal, that's exactly. It's not going to be. You'll notice it, but it's not going to be like, hey, who guys hear this? Yeah, no, it's not going to be anything like that. Jig heads for the win, Pat says.
I'm honored to be here for this fuck up. True honor.
Look at this guy. Bogley. Already got the ball rolling. Talked to Richie last night. He'll get it done, son.
Yeah, I know. And the problem is like I'm not going to mention the place where I got my Skeeter.
Yeah, no. It's
because you should. Yeah.
So here's the problem, Becca, and Bobby and I actually talked about this on the phone yesterday. Like the new, late 30s, almost 40 Joe is a lot more calm, cool, and collected than he was, back in the day. And like where they get me is like they're kind of being ding dongs with the whole thing, but they're being nice about it.
That's the worst.
So it's
part.
like so it's tough to be an asshole when they're like being so nice.
You almost feel bad.
Yeah, exactly.
Damn it.
Exactly.
He's like, I can't
No,
rip
they
your
know
head
what
off.
they're doing, dude. They know what they're doing. They're like,
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey,
It's
man,
like, dude,
we're idiots. I don't know what to tell you.
it's just like, well, hold on. I'm actually I want to read you guys. Like, I think they chat GPT this email because he was like, just because, hold on.
damn.
Okay.
It's like super
All right. So we have been here it is. So we have been aggressively avoiding the boat and engine for cause. We believe we have isolated the area or section that the fault may lie in, but to this point we cannot definitively validate the exact cause just yet to determine the correct repair path forward, and we don't want to guess here. We have found that your engine's power trim and tilt motor has failed. We are unsure if this is related to the problem we are hunting down, and we have already ordered the replacement parts for the repair. We are investigating alternative paths of discovery as the particular case has presented an unusual set of symptoms as a forensic approach to achieve a resolution to this problem. So yeah, that's the email I got.
That definitely sounded like a robot. It definitely sounded like a robot.
Yeah.
Oh,
There ain't no way they knew any of those big words.
Yeah.
So-
and again, the dude's like a wicked nice dude, but like now I'm like, now that, you know, I'm 2 years into ownership of this boat, like, and it's funny, people like Ryan, like Bogley, and like, they're like, dude, dude, go to Thayer's. I'm like, I want a Skeeter so bad, blah, blah, blah. Man.
You learn.
So now you guys can say I told you so.
Oh, they will.
Yeah.
Becca,
I like aluminum boats, so
I just got a text from Lila, and she says she needs help packing immediately. I don't know if that's serious, if it's that serious, but I completely understand if you've got to go. I understand.
yeah. If she needs me to pack, I gotta go pack. Yeah,
That's how it is, you know. But welcome to Massachusetts, Becca. We're glad to have you.
Thank you. Oh, so
Officially a
stoked.
masshole.
Fuck yeah.
Let's go. Let's
I
go.
love it. It's good. It's good. It's good. She's going to be
right,
getting
guys,
North
thanks for
Shore
having
beefs,
me.
no problem. All right, Becca, you have a great one, all right?
Yeah, thanks for only having 9 minutes of my audio. Appreciate you, man.
I got the whole thing. It's all good. It's just going to take a little trickery on my end.
No, you're good. You're good. All
I
right,
love
bye,
it.
guys.
Take care,
Thank
Becca.
you.
See
Bye,
ya.
Becca.
Oh, my
Peace.
goodness. So, my week was, I only had two
Yeah, let's
sins
hear
this
it.
week. But they were both great. The first one was I went out Tuesday. I finally went out and fished with Alec Plotnikevich.
I saw that. I saw the video. I did see the video.
It was so great. We went out. We fished the Connecticut River, and and it was a great day. Actually, it was really, really good. They were biting so many different presentations.
That's good.
I felt like, I wanted to, start super obnoxious and work down, but knowing what the conditions were, I was like, let's go and finesse it just a little bit. Got my first couple of bites on like finesse swim baits on big Joshies.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm like, oh, that is great.
I fucking love those big Joshies,
Dude. And I was throwing.
I don't talk about it enough, but fuck, those things are awesome.
They're great. And actually, the big Joshies made a return on Saturday too when I went out. So my first couple of bites were there. Alec had shown me some spots that along the river that I didn't even know existed. And got my first topwater fish of the year. That was
Awesome.
pretty awesome.
Large or smallmouth?
Largemouth.
Awesome.
And it was on one of the Z-Man toads. Just zipping along the top. Some and actually I needed a bowfin. And at one point, Alex like, oh, dude, there's a big bowfin that just went by. He's like, I just saw it kind of come up and then go back down. And I'm like, oh, all right, we'll see if we can get him to bite. No go.
Yeah.
Threw a jig around a bunch, got a couple of jig fish.
Nice.
He's throwing a bunch of BFS. I caught the smallest, like a micro smallmouth. Didn't get it on camera.
Really?
Yeah, so I tried to use just my phone as, to record the video. And
Sure.
And while the video came out fine, it really is missing something. Like it really is missing that cast to catch type element. So I gotta work some stuff out with my GoPro. Saturday I went out and I made a great video on Saturday. Saturday was a great day. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday were just kind of all a mess. I had a bunch of other stuff going on. And a couple of those days, it was like it looked like we were going to get rain all the way through the week, early in the week.
Oh yeah.
And it basically rained on Thursday, is what it was. But I had already written off all these other days and made commitments to other shit. Now, I will say this:
Right.
Sean the fisherman and I have a loose date on the calendar. And we are going to meet up at a local, I would say, nibbler buffet. And have you ever, do you remember the pocket fisherman, Joe? The old school pocket fisherman?
Yes. Yeah. It's a rod, right?
It is. It's a rod and reel combo. It's like a spin cast.
Okay.
And
Yep.
where was it? I want to say it was at like, not Party Warehouse. I forget, some like discount retailer or something. They had something very, very similar set up, and he calls me all excited. He's like, oh my God, dude. He's like, I found this. He's like, you got to go there, get one, and we'll do a video and we'll like put it together. I'm like, all right, cool. Let's go ahead and do it. So it'll be interesting to see how this kind of works.
That'll be cool.
At first he was like, don't open them up. We'll open them up right there. We'll see how they work. I was like, well, what if they're busted? Like, we should probably make sure that they're working. I checked this thing out, and it does seem like it's working. It does not seem like it's working great. So I don't know. It could be kind of interesting. We're going to fish these for an hour and see how it goes. So it could be interesting. It could be a good time.
I guess the problem with that was like the pocket fisherman was, designed and built to be just that, and like they probably like got all the kinks and everything out. But when you're just trying to throw out like a gimmicky one essentially might not work as well.
And the inside, like the handle is like a storage compartment, and it's got a float. It's got a couple of hooks, some sinkers, all kinds of stuff. And we're like, no. We're going to throw the shit that we're going to throw. So I'm going to be throwing some Bronco blades and some micro jigs and stuff like that.
Right.
I have no idea what Sean's going to throw. I have no idea. He might be drop shotting. I have no idea.
Helicopter lure.
Helicopter lure, yes. Yes. So Friday, like I said, I had already made a bunch of commitments and everything. I was like, all right, cool. We're just going to go ahead, trudge forward, no big deal. It's getting so close to the end of school for my youngest, which is going to open up my week to be able to do so much more fishing than I had been able to commit to really all of April and May. So next week this week that we're going into, when this episode drops, she's got finals and a bunch of half days, which fuck everything up. So I'm not sure exactly how we're going to make it work, but we're going to make it work. I'm going to get out there and put a hammer to them. I went out on, so my whole goal really for the days that I had kind of written off was just trying to come up with a plan. Like, where am I going to fish? I need so much. I've only got 5 fish on the scoreboard.
Okay.
And I'm like, I need so much. Like, where do I go? And there's spots that I'm like interested in trying, like where I ended up. And there's some other spots too where I'm like, I can go and hit those. We should go ahead and shut that up. Pat Martin says, he goes, did you just say Sean will be drop shotting? Yes, I did say Sean will be drop shotting. He
got into it like last year.
He did. So I go and I'm like, let's go ahead and we'll send it. We'll see what happens. And in the background, while I'm trying to set up some plans to fish, I'm also dealing with all this boat stuff. Trying to get this nailed down and figure out what's going on. I then I make the decision last minute. I'm like, you know what? Everybody's been telling me to fish this one spot in Central Mass. I'm like, I'm just going to send it. Let's go ahead and do it. Yep. And I remember, so I get there, right? I get there for about 6 a.m., right? Launch. There is, ironically, the boat that's launching just after I had dipped my boat, was this beautiful 17-foot Lund, brand new deep V. And I'm just like, you guys like that vessel, huh? And they're like, oh, yeah, it's great. And they were going out trolling. And I'm like, all right, that's not my style, but hey, it is what it is. So I go and I immediately,
Was this the place local to me that we're talking?
Yep. It was that spot. And that ramp, actually, I've heard people say, they're like, oh, it's fucking super tricky. It's super tricky.
It is.
I actually did really well with it. I was really surprised. It was easy in, easy out, no problems.
Yeah. It's that corner gets you. It gets me.
It's tough. It is tough. Yeah. So I launch, and whenever I'm fishing new water, by like habit, I suppose, I usually fish to my left. I go to my left, so I like to fish along that way. And I fish this bank, and there are bluegill beds everywhere. Just you'd see a patch of just honeycomb pattern all over the place. And again, like I need so many different species. I'm fishing super downsized stuff, so I'm throwing around Bronco blades and finesse swim baits. And I had changed it. So I started with a Bronco blade with like a tiny 2-inch Kitech. And you know these bluegills that are on beds, they're like super active, but they're not necessarily taking the bait where I can hook them. They're just fucking up my plastics for the most part. You know? So I'm like, I'm on my last pack, and Omnia is unfortunately sold out of them right now. I'm actually waiting on an email alert so that I can get more. And once I do, I'm loading up. I'm loading up because these are the go-to. So I'm like, all right, you know, I'm gonna change this out a little bit. We'll upsize. So I make a change, and I put on, instead of that 3 1/4 inch, I put on the 275, 2 3/4 inch. The show special of that big Joshy on a jig head.
That's my favorite.
The perfected ball head jig from Jig Masters is what I was using. The screw lock head and everything. Man, this is a perfect combination. And even though it is,
I throw it on the same thing. Yeah.
Even though it's a little bit on the heavy side for the BFS stuff,
it is.
It works great. Now, I had one unbelievable catch on this. So I go and I fish all the way down, probably about 2/3 the way down that left-handed bank. And I'm just like, all right, I'm getting dink bass and tons of sunfish. Let's just cross over to the other side, and then we'll fish back up, and worst case scenario, I'll get off the water, and then I'll go to another spot. You know, I was actually thinking about maybe going to hit Quabog for some pike, something like that. But I'm like, again, I don't know the first thing about fishing pike in Quabog. If I go and I'm comfortable fishing for pike anywhere, it's in the Berkshires, you know?
Yeah, that place, I mean, I got lucky catching that one this year.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, you don't go and fish for them. It just happens.
It just happens. That's exactly it. So it would be one of those deals. I'm like, all right, let's go ahead. We'll just keep fishing. Now I go over and I'm at this one spot, and I caught a super, like just a tiny bass, and you can see it in the video. Probably 10 inches, and this is like a 3-inch swim bait. This tail was straight down its throat, It choked this bait.
Hungry.
And we're gonna hear about this this finesse swim bait in a bit. So I'm like, all right, that gives me some real confidence here. It just hammered this thing. So I release that fish. I go off a little bit further up, and I'm seeing other fish. Like I'm seeing yellow perch like chasing my my big Joshy. And I'm like, let's downsize a little bit. And I have these, and I don't use them often. They're only 1.5 inches long. They're from Jackal. They're called like Good Meal Shad.
Okay.
And they're a JDM, like super tiny plastic, but they're a little bit, there's less salt. They're a little bit more stretchy, a little bit more durable. And it's kind of like, I don't even know. It's almost like a straight tail grub with like a paddle tail at the end. It's the weirdest looking thing. Okay. Yep. So I thread this on one of these, it was the Bronco blade again, and I start flipping this thing around. I roll up onto this one, this bluegill bed, and I see a big bass cruising right alongside. I was like, that's the first big fish I've seen here. I'm like, well, that's a good sign. So I cast over just up in front of it and start, dragging it back. And I'm like, this bass has seen some shit. He's not going to eat this. Yeah. I go and I make a second cast and I flub it. My lure hit the water and blew up my reel. So I'm like, all right, cool. I pick that up, reel up, and then I make a nice long cast way further down the bank, and I start swimming this along. And once it gets over that bluegill bed, it gets hammered, absolutely hammered. This is a 17 1/4 inch largemouth. I was able to enter it and get some more inches for it, which is great. And I continued fishing along that bank, looking for, and that's the thing. I was fishing off the deep end as well. Like I was going and I was fishing to my left a lot because that's where all my bites were going from. But I was running with side scam, and every time I would see like a rock pile or something like a stump or something like that, I would give a cast out that way. Or if there was something that would hit the surface, I would try and pick something up on the deep end, knowing that that's probably where I was going to find the trout.
Yeah. Yep.
I get around to this dock. Where there was a couple of girls that were out there painting the dock, and I had a good conversation with them. They asked me if I had caught anything good, and I gave them some good stories. And then you called me, And you're like,
Yeah.
I got some intel. He goes, this is where you were like, you're looking for this spot. And I was looking at my map right there, and I'm like, I'm right there. So I go over. Now, I didn't tell you this, but I get over there, and there are, along that area that you told me, there were probably 3 small groups of people bank fishing. And they're casting out as far as they can cast out, you know?
Yep.
And I'm out there a good ways where that ledge is. And I go and I'm like, well, this is pretty deep. It was like 20, 23 feet, something like that.
Yeah. It drops pretty quick. Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to cut off this Bronco blade because it's 3/32 of an ounce, I think is the jig that I'm throwing. So I put on that 1/8 ounce, not much heavier, but that paddle tail or that big Joshy. And I flipped that out, and I think my 3rd cast, it got rocked. Like pulling drag straight down. Like I was like, okay, this is good. I'm working this fish back up. Dude, it was a 16-inch largemouth.
Really?
Yeah. I couldn't believe it. And it was right on the fall. I'll bet you with how fast this thing hit, I'll bet you it was 10 feet down.
Interesting.
Yeah, I was like, what the actual fuck?
I would never have expected that.
I was laughing, and the people on the bank, they're watching me pick this fish up, and I'm like holding it, and I'm like, this is a great fish, blah, blah, blah. I'm talking to the GoPro in front of me, and there's people yelling, they're like,
that's a really nice bass, Dick.
And I'm like, all right, that's cool. I fished for a little bit longer, and I went to I decided I'd load up. I'm like, you know what? Let's get off the water now. I fished the entire perimeter that I'm going to fish. No trout. I'm like, again, not a big deal. There's so much I need. The other thing that I needed was white perch, too. White perch and crappie. Because the crappie that I caught the week before didn't meet the minimum. So I'm like, I'm in a good spot for all of this, you know?
Right.
And I'm like, so I kind of just have to keep it an open mind about the whole thing. So I go and I load up the boat, and I take off, and I go over to the old Cumberland Farms cuisine, and I have a little bit of lunch, and actually the directions took me to that, like the shitty Cumberland in that area. I went over to the good one. Yeah, I went over to the good one a little further down 9.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I've got standards. They're low, but I've got standards.
Yeah.
So I go and I have a little bit of lunch. I'm sitting there and I'm looking at maps, and I'm looking at, calling up different pages on the states for different ponds to find different species. And I'm like, I just spent 6 hours doing this. I'm exhausted. I'm like, you know what?
Let's take a ride to the dispensary and have a great Saturday night instead.
Which is exactly what I did. It's exactly what I did.
There you go.
So I'm coming back, and I'm going now west on Route 9. This is important. I'm in traffic, and I have my camera going, and I'm recording a segment. You see this in the video. I edited the shit out. I had apparently, I just got my brakes done a week ago Monday, and they're compared to where they were. Like when I hit them now, it's like, I mean, it's like fucking. They're,
oh yeah.
You know what? There's a learning curve now, and I'm like, all right, cool.
Sure.
I just got to adjust to it. It's no big deal. And I'm in traffic, and there's an ambulance that goes by me, like fucking, like furiously, like coming back, going east. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? There's all this traffic. It's right over by Lashaway, right?
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, right over by there. And there's all this traffic there. And there's this white Ford pickup behind me. And I thought he hit my kayak.
Oh.
So he takes off. There happened to be this side street. He takes off and goes running. Eventually, we ended up on Podunk Road because I fucking chased him.
Yeah.
I fucking chased him. I was like, what the fuck is that? I follow him all the way back there. He stopped to talk to somebody. And I'm like, maybe he didn't. And I just snapped a bunch of pictures of his plate just in case. Because I'm like, again, I am not the I'm not 100% the hothead I was 20 years ago, 25 years ago. You know what I mean? I want to be able to reach out and get in touch with this fucker if that's the situation.
Sure.
He didn't. Sure. It was all fine. It was me moving up in traffic and hitting the brake a little bit too hard and being like, what the fuck?
Okay.
So that was on me. I I end up I place my order at the dispensary. I head over to the dispensary and I pick it up. That's all in the video. Like I didn't take my camera inside, but in the parking lot holding the bag, I'm like, you guys have a great weekend. I am a bullshitter when I say that I didn't go out for a second time. I was going out to pick up found a new barbecue place actually locally in Westfield, as a matter of fact.
Oh, is it the Butcher Block?
No. I know the Butcher Block. It's called, actually, you might want to know about this because they do like breakfast and everything there. It's called Pit Stop Barbecue. It's on East Mountain Road.
I've heard of it. I've heard of it, and that's local to where I work.
Yeah,
so
it's very
I'm going to
local.
have to go there.
Dude, it's
good stuff.
It's dynamite. So this is what I ordered. The girls are like mac and cheese nuts. Mac and cheese and barbecue for them is the best combo ever. So I ordered one, a brisket mac and cheese bowl, and one, a pulled pork mac and cheese bowl. They just split them each in half and ate them both.
Yeah.
I got a sampler that was brisket and pulled pork. Initially, I had gotten brisket and ribs. And two sides. They do. I'm a little old school. Like I went with mac salad and potato salad. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah.
Felt like I was at my aunt and uncle's 4th of July party. It was great.
Fuck yeah.
They called me and they're like, we just sold our last rack. So they're like, do you want to substitute like pulled pork or something else? I was like, yeah, pulled pork will do. That's fine. Dude, this was absolutely out of this world. 2 thumbs enthusiastically way up. In fact, I had so many leftovers. I had breakfast this morning when I woke up. I'm like, yeah, I'm having leftover barbecue for breakfast. I'm not cooking a damn thing. It was out of this world. And yeah, I highly, highly, highly recommend it. But yeah,
I'm gonna have to check it out.
They do like breakfast sandwiches. They do the whole nine. Like they've got a full deli. Like it's going to be the new spot. It's going to be the new spot.
Okay.
Dan says should have hit Wickabog. Actually, Dan, you're 100% right. I didn't even consider that one. That actually is a really, really good idea.
Yeah, that's a good spot.
It really, especially for like multi-species because they're loaded up. There's a lot
nice
of
and small.
diversity, and yeah, you can do a lot in there.
Yeah.
So I coming back from pit stop after picking up dinner, I'm chatting with Paul. I'm texting him, and I'm like, hey man, my wife is working a 16-hour shift at her old job.
What kind of crazy person does that?
I'm like, I have literally nothing to do and my kids don't want to hang out. I'm like, they're going to go out for a ride and, jam some Taylor Swift and go get ice cream or whatever they do. I don't know, these kids. So they're going to go and do their thing. And I'm like, you want to go and send it? Like, why don't we take the yaks out? We'll see if we can get a tap water bite. And he's like, I don't know about that. He's like, I only have so much time. It's like, we want to bank send it? Let's go ahead and do it. It was like, I got some tasty treats from the old dispo. And he's like, oh, all right, that sounds like a good idea. So we go over to one of our like standby spots. I'm like, let's just make it super easy. I didn't even bring my catch board, which didn't matter because we got skunked. I was throwing around. I got there. I typically arrive a little bit earlier. And I was throwing around a Whopper Plopper to see if there was any kind of a top water bite at all, anything like that.
Okay, all right.
Yep, whopping and a plopping, nothing. I threw around a chatterbait, and I did get a nice freaking hit on that right at the bank. But this is that spot where there's a 6-foot wall. So a bite there.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, it's a tough spot to be able to really hook them. And I think he just got the end of the trailer is what ended up happening. I ended up losing that bladed jig, which sucked. Middle of the night, like it was absolutely pitch black out. It was ridiculous. Got hooked up on something under the surface, and there was all this growth overhand. And I tried to like leave a bunch of slack and like move my rod tip over the brush to try to pop it free. And I'm like, this just isn't. I gave it like 15 minutes. There was nothing. I did get a few taps on a jig, and really, this was interesting because they only wanted the beef craw. They only seem to really have any interest because initially I was throwing a PB&J jig with a big, medium rare beef craw, dragging that on the bottom. there's a big brush pile down there and a stump like right near it, and I hooked into that, lost that one quick. So I tied on another jig. with a standard crawl, like a chigger crawl, and they just didn't want anything to do with it. I was dragging it around. I was like, I want to see what happens. So we'll throw another beef crawl on here. We'll see what happens. Immediately started getting bites, but it was like they would just bite the claws and not really take it, you know? It was the weirdest shit. So we decided instead we would jump into a new strain. I picked up a pack of these pre-roll minis over at Theory. And Todd says he actually just left the dispo. I picked up some of these minis, and they're a strain that's called Night Moves, like the Bob Seger song. And I'm all about that. So, yeah, Todd goes, just left the dispo, wink. Heading to the grocery store now. Nice. All right, so let me back up here. So after all this, I'm like, you know what, Paul, let's break out the herbal refreshment. And I picked up a little pack of these mini pre-rolls, right, with a strain called Night Moves, like the popular Bob Seger song. And these are wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Paul didn't even finish his. I finished mine because I have zero self-control. And that led to us having a really good conversation about hype songs, which we're going to talk about in segment 2. We'll do that. We'll do this in segment 1. We'll talk about hype songs in segment 2. And Paul had sent me what his was, but he changed it that night. His hype song is Glenn Fry's The Heat Is On. And he just started singing it randomly, and I'm like, okay, that's cool. And then I'm like, but of course, my baked ass is like dancing and stuff. And again, 6-foot wall over the water, like this could be bad. We made the executive decision it might be a better idea to just accept the loss and go back. So we got skunked hard, but we had a really good time. Which brings me to this. I think that genuinely there are 2 reasons to fish. One, for the fish. Like, whether it's for the adventure or it's for the, it's a tournament, it's competition, or it's just about outdoing yourself, like catching that next biggest, that next giant, or the most, or whatever it is. It's the obvious one is the fish. But the other one, and I talk about this, and I guess I've kind of lost a little bit of sight about it, is the other is the camaraderie that comes with it. And it doesn't matter if you're even catching fish. Because Paul, he said it best that night. He was like, dude, he goes, some dudes go to fucking titty bars and they hang out and do that. And he goes, honestly, I'm not saying that fishing is a cheap sport, but it's definitely money better spent than if you're going to the titty bars. And I was like, dude,
hell yeah.
Fucking A right.
Yep.
I never even considered that. I was like, dude, that's absolutely true. I was like, so like we had really, really good conversation. We had a good time, brought up a bunch of old fucking stories and shit. And that's why I fish with Paul, really, is for that. Because we've got a ton of history and shit like that. So there's 2 parts of it. One part of it is obviously the fish. Like that's probably why all you listeners and jig heads are tuning into all this. It's because of the fish. But at the same time, there is that other underlying element, which I think just sweetens the deal overall. So,
of course,
take those days where you're like, fuck, we didn't catch them at all. We left with our tail between our legs. That's a good deal. So yeah, I had a good time. Ultimately, the video, I already edited the video. It's good to go. I'm gonna post it later this week, probably Wednesday or Thursday. And it was awesome, man. We had a good time. And now here's Bogley says, this BFS thing equals a lot of titties. Yes. It's true. It's true. Grab some unicorn tears, Todd. Oh, well, let me know how it is. Maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll do Nug of the Week on Jigs and Bigs. Maybe we'll start doing Nug of the Month. Because this way everybody can say like, oh, here's the strain. Let's go and find it.
There you go.
Nug of the Month. I like that. Poor Joe.
I can't. It sounds cool.
It sounds great, and I think Night Moves is, I would say, in the space of jigglers. You know what I mean? It was just very, very good, very, very nice. So yeah, it was pretty nuts. Now, did you have any headlines for this week?
Of course I do,
dude. I was thinking about this today. Since we brought the headline segment on. every single week you have been absolutely prepared with an awesome segment of shit. I love that.
There wasn't a ton going on this week, but I found everybody something.
I love that. Well, let's go ahead and do it. I'll go ahead and play the open here. Oh, that is not the open. That right there, I was going to play Sailing from Christopher Cross when Becca was talking about her sailboat. That would have been a mess. Let's go ahead and do this. Here we go.
All right, everyone. So I got 2 stories here for you tonight, today, whatever day you're listening to the podcast. Oh, excuse me. Got a cough going on. Mm-hmm. But all right, our first story. This is actually, they just posted this a few days ago, but apparently this may have happened like last year, but we're going to talk about it. So pro fisherman risks a ticket, catches giant bass in front of cops. The quote is, "You want your ticket now or later?" So let's ask a question here. Would you risk getting a ticket to land one of the biggest bass you've ever caught on the last cast of the day?
Yeah.
100%. I would. So would current Bass Pro Matty Wong. Nice. And he did that. And a couple years back, and it was actually before he went pro, the Elite Series angler was fishing a lake in Southern California with a buddy. They were approaching closing time as the privately owned reservoir has strict rules requiring all boats to be off the water by 5 p.m. Around 4:45 p.m., with 15 minutes to spare, the 2 fishermen were approached by a sheriff's boat. An officer got on the bullhorn to remind them that the lake would be closing soon, but Wong chose to make one final cast with a glide bait and hooked a 9 to 10 pound largemouth.
Yeah.
When he proceeded to land the bass right in front of the cops. I'm just being the punk fisherman, and I'm like, well, I can make one more cast. And a quarter way through the retrieve, and it absolutely slacklines, Wong says, of the odd bite, which was caused by a bass hitting the bait while swimming straight at him. It was the last cast that every fisherman dreams of, when you make just one more cast and you know you got to go, and then you hook a giant. The whole episode was caught on video, and Wong uploaded the footage to his YouTube channel. He also posted an abbreviated reel that went viral on social media. The TikTok video alone has nearly 2 million views. After his buddy nets the bass, Wong loses it, shouting, "Oh my God, is that my 10?" And then the law enforcement officer, still speaking through the bullhorn, doles out a classic buzzkiller line of, "Okay, you want your ticket now or later?" At this point, the reel ends, but Wong tells Outdoor Life there's a little more to the story. Immediately after that, he nervously laughed, and then the cop with the bullhorn goes, "Well, how big was it?" And I said, "I don't have a scale, do you?" Well, they didn't, but Wong held up the fish anyways, and after seeing the bass, the officers gave him a thumbs up and left without writing him a ticket or even a warning. Wong and his buddy then snapped a few pictures, released the bass, and headed to the ramp where they pulled the boat out just before 5 p.m. In hindsight, Wong says that even though he wanted the bass to go 10 pounds, he thinks it was more like 8 or 9. Still, it was pretty darn close to his personal best largemouth at the time, and the best possible way to cap off a slow winter's day. As for the law he risked breaking, Wong says there are similar rules and time constraints at other lakes in the area. Most of these are owned and operated by hydroelectric power companies, which have their own liability concerns. So, not sure why this is like just getting popular now, because it happened in like late 2021. But yeah, there you go. I would do that if
100%.
Man, catching it close to your PB on the last cast of the day. I'll take it. And Matty Wong's awesome. He's a stick.
He definitely is. Dan Griffin says, he goes, "Who closes a lake?" California. California.
Yeah, of course.
That's who.
Of course. If there was any state where I was going to bet, I would have won that bet all day.
Yeah, 100%. Californians.
Yep.
Every time I say the word Californians, I think of that Saturday Night Live sketch with like, what the hell's his name? There's a bunch of cast members in it, and they're like, "Well, if you take the 405 to the," and they stare at the camera all stupid, and then it's like the announcer comes on, and he's like,
"The Californians, they might not know how to."
I'm like, that is awesome.
Yeah, that's fun. All right, next story. So this is for all of our Missouri anglers here.
Oh, all right.
That listen to the show. So a snakehead spotted for the 4th time in Missouri. This one comes from Wired to Fish. The Missouri Department of Conservation has confirmed the discovery of a 4th northern snakehead in Wayne County, Missouri. Anglers are urged to kill the invasive species if caught. This particular snakehead was released on May 25th at Wapapapalo Lake Spillway. I don't know, Wapapello. It's the 4th recorded instance of a northern snakehead being caught in Missouri waters, with 3 sightings reported since 2023. Native to Asia, these fish are aggressive predators in U.S. waters, threatening native species and competing for resources. They have a distinctive snake-like appearance and can survive out of water for several days due to their ability to breathe air. Missouri Department of Conservation Fisheries biologist Dave Nunth emphasized the importance of killing these fish upon discovery to prevent their spread in Missouri waters. If encountered, it is recommended that you kill them immediately. Yeah, so this guy like took pictures and then released it back into the water.
I mean, yeah, I can see Dust Off Fishing changing his profile to a snakehead guy, and that working well for him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's it sucks. I mean, I know a lot of people enjoy.
Look at what John said. Snakeheads are getting smarter. Now they're catching planes to the Midwest. That's wild. Now, I wonder,
like that. That's a good one.
Like, I'm sure, like, especially with this guy taking pictures, but I'm wondering if, like, they're saying 4 of them. Do they, I mean, are we sure that it's not a misidentified bowfin or something?
I mean, this picture here, it's definitely a snakehead.
Yeah.
It has those markings on its head. Yep. But when it comes to the other 3, maybe. But this one's definitely 100% a snakehead, no doubt about it. So
Tim says snakeheads will be in mass soon.
Snakes on a plane.
Yeah, snakes on a plane. Oh, no. They got their Delta miles, and they're just like making it. Yeah, they're going for it.
Yeah, Tim said snakeheads will be in Massachusetts soon. I fucking hope not, because our fish are already stunted compared to the rest of the country as it is, and we don't need them to have to compete with any other other species.
Every so often you hear rumblings about that. Somebody's like, "Oh yeah, so and so caught a snakehead up here," and
it's always a bowfin.
Yeah, that's usually what it is. It's a misidentified bowfin. Yeah. So
yep. And luckily, they took pictures of this one, and it's like, and probably, especially Missouri in the Midwest, like, oh shit, like that's a snakehead.
Oh yeah,
so
yeah, absolutely. Fuck.
But so fucking whoever put that thing in there, and goddamn, don't put them back.
Could you imagine like the tourism that would come from snakehead fishing in the Lake of the Ozarks?
Oh my goodness!
Right, like already
that place is already.
Could you imagine the horror film you could make? Because like Lake of the Ozarks is a big like party lake. A lot of people go up there recreationally.
Yeah, I've been there. It's insane.
And if you could rewrite the movie Piranha about Lake of the Ozarks using snakehead, and you're just like, how did fucking Becky's toe get bitten off or whatever? I don't understand. And it's just giant infestation of snakeheads that take over the town, and then they breathe air and they start laundering money. Wait, that's a whole other fucking.
And
series.
They gotta get the same. They gotta get the same director that directed Cocaine Bear.
Yes, 100%. Shit.
Yep.
In a way, I hope that snakeheads do end up in Massachusetts, because then I won't have to fucking go to New Jersey to catch them.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
True.
That would make my life a little bit easier. Maybe just in a couple.
Who knows? They might be out there already.
Yeah.
Who knows?
You'll know when you get bit by one.
Yeah.
It is crazy, man. Oh, good stuff, Joe. Very, very good stuff. Mm-hmm. Guys, We're going to take a short break, and we're going to come back. We have an FTG for you this week, and we're going to be talking about hype songs because this is something that came up in an interview segment of a number of episodes back, and it kind of just started to become a regular question that I'm starting to ask a lot of my guests, and I did a little something this week that kind of got pretty cool. So we'll talk about that in a bit, guys. Don't go too far. Much more Jigs and Bigs happening right after this. Jigs and Bigs wants to take a moment to say thank you to our partners for helping us continue to push the limits of our fishing adventures and bring you amazing long-form podcast content. We need to thank Dark Horse Tackle, Omnia Fishing, A-Bay Lure, The Bay House, and The Ship Motel. We can't forget about Three Bells Outfitters, Torres Sunglasses, and of course, Reaction Tackle. Be sure to check the description of this podcast for any associated affiliate links or promo codes they've generously provided our listening audience. Again, we cannot thank our partners enough for their support. Please consider supporting them and supporting the show in the same process. Thanks. Hey, you. Yeah, you. The one with the impeccable taste in fishing podcasts. Bobby Roast Beef here with a little call to action for all Jigs and Bigs listeners. We're opening up our hotline to you. Now you can call us to sound off about almost anything at 413-324-8519. Want to submit someone for our FTG segment? Call us at 413-324-8519. Care to maybe suggest a topic for Just the Tip or Bait of the Week? Call us at 413-324-8519. Maybe you just want to give us or anyone else a little shout out on the show, or you want to suggest a guest for the beef seat. You guessed it. Call us at 413-324-8519. The Jigs and Bigs hotline is there for you to leave a message with us 24/7. Just call 413-324-8519. Also, you can check that number in the notes of this podcast. Alrighty, guys, we have an FTG for you this week that comes from the state of Rhode Island. And this was an interesting one. This one just kind of popped up. There was no discussion beforehand, anything like that. But it comes from Pat Martin. Pat Martin comes in. He's actually called us a handful of times and made use of the hotline. And this is one of the primary reasons for the hotline is for these FTGs. So let's take a listen to this message right now and find out what he's talking about.
Hey, boys, it's Pat Martin down here in southern Rhode Island. Calling in to talk turtles a little and give a retro FTG. It is that time of year where the turtles are crossing roads, so I want to throw that out, that keep your eyes open around wetlands and stuff, and if you see a turtle, help them across the road. And I personally have gotten to the point where I will block whatever traffic I need to make sure that turtle doesn't get hit, and that's where the FTG comes in. It was a year or two ago. My parents live right on a pond. I saw a turtle coming. I pulled over to help it, and there was a guy coming the other way. And even though I was standing in the road flagging this guy to stop, he just fucking plowed right over that fucking turtle right in front of me. And so I today actually stopped and blocked the whole lane of traffic sideways because I knew people were going to do that. And a reminder, always move the turtle in the direction it's going, not to where it's closest to, because if you just bring it back, it's going to go right back out the road. So, little retro FTG, the guy who ran a turtle over right in front of me like that. And, won't somebody think of the turtles? Have a good week, fellas.
I like turtles.
I do like turtles. You know, it's funny though, because this last weekend when I was out fishing with Paul, he and I were talking, and he was telling me the story that I guess his wife, they moved out to a more rural area than where they initially lived, and there's a lot of wildlife in that area that same kind of wildlife you find all over the place, but it's way more apparent now. And she's just decided to embrace it and has been naming all of the wildlife. Well, I guess the other day she had texted Paul a video of a good-sized snapping turtle that is laying eggs right underneath the shelving unit of Paul's grill and smoker.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. And he's like, so there's just a pile of eggs there. Like, she's in there, like, digging the hole, doing her thing, and then just took off. And I was like, yeah, she ain't ever going to leave. Like, it's going to, every year, you're going to have that spot where she's going to show up and everything. And Pat makes a good point about, is like setting them up, moving them along the direction that they're going, because it's like, it's kind of counterproductive otherwise. That's shitty, dude.
They'll just try to cross the road again. And
they don't know. They're like, whatever. Okay, cool.
Just help them across. That's it.
Just get them across. That sucks, Pat, that you even had to fucking see that and be, because I can only imagine, like, Pat is the nicest human being I've ever met. And I can only imagine this freaking turtle plower is what we're going to have to call him.
Yeah.
Driving through this and Pat going like, what the fuck? Like, I'm sure. That is just that's awful.
I hope we had a turtle funeral.
Some people suck like that. You know what I mean? They really just do.
People are assholes. It's
a shame that Becca had to leave and pack, because she has a turtle story. She almost lost a couple digits recently.
Oh, shit.
She hooked a snapper, and she was using some pliers to try to, like, and the turtle just snapped at her, and like within, like, she was like, I could feel the air move. It was that close. I'm like, oh my god, dude, fuck that. Just yeah. It was rough.
I hooked a snapping turtle once, probably like 4 or 5 years ago, on a fucking crankbait, and so luckily it didn't hook him it actually hooked him like in the foot. So yeah, it was like, you just, I must have looked like such a loser trying to, because all I can think of is like those things, because I know how, like, people don't realize how long a snapping turtle's neck actually is.
And how powerful that beak is. Like, it will snap your fingers right off.
Oh, so I was just trying to get, it was one of those, I felt so bad. This is so terrible that I'm saying this, but, it's one of those things where I put the pliers on the fucking hook, and I'm just like, trying to hope the thing's like getting fucking shaken baby syndrome as I'm trying to get it off. But
So I was fishing one time at that spot I was fishing at with Paul with that drop, and I was fishing a drop shot. And I hooked into like the rear thigh meat of a snapper, a good size one. And it's pull and drag. And I probably had like a 6-pound leader on here. Yeah. And I'm trying to pull the turtle up and like shake him up and down and hope that like the hook will bend and like just tear out of him. And eventually it did. But I was like, ow.
Yeah.
What kind of line is this? Like, I can't believe this shit.
Yeah.
2 snappers this week, freaking Tim says. I caught 2 snappers this week. A snapping turtle. I love a snapping turtle. Well, this is good news, because Joe has a topic for Gear of the Week. So let's go ahead and do it.
Okay, gearheads, it's time to talk tools. Jigs and Bigs Gear of the Week.
All right, so we're gonna talk a bait that's kind of new to me.
Yeah.
That I actually received it in a Dark Horse tackle box, and I liked it so much,
really,
that I actually just did another order through Dark Horse Tackle to get more. So, what this bait is the Martin's Custom Baits bladed jig.
Yes.
Man, this bladed jig is phenomenal. I absolutely love this thing. It's got the painted blade. I actually caught my biggest fish of the season so far on it a couple weeks ago. But unfortunately, I only got one of them in the box, obviously. And later on that day, I actually lost it. I got hooked into a stump and I couldn't get it off. I tried like hell. But man, these are phenomenal blade baits. Small company. They come from Dark Horse Tackle. awesome colors. Thank God they had, pretty much everything I need. I ended up buying a handful of them, but they're awesome. They're a huge vibration. They track really well. They have my favorite type of hook keeper as well.
The wire hook keeper.
Yeah. So I love those. I had a Fisher Dye Warbird on the back of it. It wasn't this color. It was I forget which color I had. I don't have it in front of me, but and I smashed it was just above 4. Smash a 4 on it, and I was just like, man, these are awesome. But it's an aggressive vibration. If for some reason I want to tone it down, I know a lot of people hate them, but I still like the stealth blades from the jackhammer stealth blades. A lot of people hate them. I like them for, if I want to chill out the vibration a little bit. But this is a phenomenal bladed jig. It's fairly priced too. It's cheaper than a jackhammer, shit like that. I want to say they're right around $8 or $9 on Dark Horse. They have them in stock. I wish I remembered the name of this one. Hold on. Oh, Blood Bug. So this one I'm excited to throw. I love throwing baits with a little bit of red in it, especially with, green pumpkin.
Oh yeah.
For those of you that can see this right now. But yes. So I highly recommend if you love bladed jigs, go on to darkhorsetackle.com, get these Martin's custom bait, bladed jigs. At least get one of them to try out. They are phenomenal. I wouldn't tell you to buy although we love Dark Horse Tackle. This is I'm saying this because I love this bait. Oh yeah. I fell in love with it. I bought a ton of them. I bought a good amount of them, and I'm very happy with it. I can't wait to throw it again once I fucking get my boat back. Oh, actually, speaking of that, what other mistake I made? I didn't even talk about this. What other mistake I made with the boat, Bobby?
What's that?
All my rods are locked in the locker.
Shut up. No, really?
I have one fucking rod behind me that I could probably throw a frog on.
Oh, dude, that sucks.
Yeah. So I haven't even been able, I don't have any of my shit. None of my baits, nothing. I mean, obviously I have a shit ton of baits behind me, but it's like my go-tos are all in my boat. So Martin's Custom Baits, their bladed jig, get it on darkhorsetackle.com. Trust me on this one. Trust me. You will love this bait, and I promise you, if you fish it, you're gonna want this to be your bladed jig. I was, I'm a big proponent. Bobby and I, we've talked. The Picassos. We both love the Picasso, the shock blade. I love, I have jackhammers. I love the stealth blade. A lot of people don't. I love the stealth blade, but this takes the cake. This is, I have no affiliation with Martin's Custom Baits. These things are awesome. I love them. darkhorsetackle.com. Go buy some out of there.
So I want to show you guys. I have one of those that I'm sitting on, and this is the color that I have. Party Popper. This is a color that is, to me, just, I think like Wonder Bread bags. Like when I see this, it's kind of, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there are these aren't available on the Martin's Custom website right now. They're only on, they're only at Dark Horse Tackle right now. And look at look at these. So Bream is sold out. Bream is a fantastic color. OD Shiner, though, that's a great color. That when you put a little bit of white in there, that looks great. There you got your, for your fans of throwing white, you got your Pearl Shad, of course, Party Popper. We got JTK Special. They make a black one, which.
What's crazy is I didn't get the black. I don't know what, I should have gotten the black. I wish I did. I was like, fuck. Why didn't I do that?
Mean green.
So I just have to order again.
This is the one that has my attention. The plum gill.
I have it. I ended up getting that one.
Yeah, that's a good looking color.
I saw that one. I was like, well, yeah. Obviously I love green pumpkin. But like for me, I like there to be something else in there.
Yes,
just to
I
pop
agree.
a little bit. Like I love red. That's why I got the blood bug one.
Yep.
I got a couple of them. But yeah, they're just good colors, and they're not like, although the was it Party Pop? Is that what it's called?
Party Pop.
That one. Yeah, Party Pop. That one, that would actually be a pretty good like spring bait color and everything. But outside of that one, they have the colors that most people are looking for. They don't have, they don't waste their time in doing a shit ton of colors they know people aren't going to buy. They have the OG colors that everyone's looking for, and they're just done really well. The blade's awesome. It's a painted blade, but it's painted perfectly. It's not too thick. That's it. Like sometimes with these bladed jigs, when they paint them, they just like they paint it on there too thick, and it just doesn't vibrate or swim the way you want it to. But
I love
guys,
painted blade, man. I really do.
Me too. Yep. Me too. And so yeah, Martin's Custom Baits, going Dark Horse Tackle. They got them on there. Trust me on this one. That's all. That's what I got for Gear of the Week.
That's a good bait for Gear of the Week. That really is, man. And I'm telling you, like, if you got your Dark Horse box last time, you're loving life. But if you want to check it out, go to darkhorsetackle.com and you can buy these baits individually if you want, or even better, build a box. You know what I'm saying? If you're not going to subscribe to the box, build a box. It's a great way to try this stuff and get it. And that's the beauty of it. You fool around with some shit and it's cool.
And that's what's awesome is like, what people might not realize. Some people, if you are subscribed to them and there is something in there that you love, most likely they will have it in their shop.
Yeah. And
if
you
you
can
want
load
more.
up on it. Yep, exactly.
And that's what I did. I had that one. I was like, fuck, I need more of these. And I need them now.
And I never thought about the exclusivity side of it. How it's with Dark Horse, you're getting some of this stuff in advantage. I remember the knee knocker from Martin's was the same way. It showed up in a box like 2 weeks or something before it was in the. There you go.
I also picked up some knee knockers, Bobby.
Yeah, it's a great spinnerbait. It really is.
Yep.
So this week, Joe, you and I talked about this a couple of weeks ago, and we're talking hype songs. And
yes,
I forget which guest it was, and that's just me being a fucking old stoner.
Yeah, I don't recall. And it's so funny because I'm glad you bring this up and we'll talk about it. But after I told you what my hype song was, like after the show, after we talked, I was like, that's not my hype song. This is my hype song. So I'm so glad we get to talk about this.
Yes, no, that's perfect. So I'm going to go through the list now. I actually made a Spotify playlist, and there are people who have been like adding songs, or there were.
Yeah.
And I've been deleting some as they show up, because I'm trying to keep this so that I can use this for. I don't want to make it private because I want people to be able to check out the playlist. But I went I asked a bunch of folks about what their hype song was, and I started with you, Joe. And I was like, the way I worded it, and actually I'm going to go back and I'm going to look at some of the text messages that I sent and some of the DMs. But I was like, okay, so as a past guest on the show, I'm going back and I'm asking everybody what their hype song would be if they were being introduced at like a major event like the Bassmaster Classic or anything like that. What's that song that they would introduce you to? And I knew what mine was right away. You responded with one right away, Joe. And I honestly figured you'd be like, I'm going to need some time to think about it. The majority of people have told me they need time to think about it. And have given me like a short list. And then some were like, nope, bing. And they knew right away. So now I'll say what yours was in a moment. Actually, no, I'll say it right now. Joe's was Seven Nation Army from the White Stripes.
Yep.
Which is a great song.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yep. I love that one. But then I was thinking about it.
Yeah.
And I kind of go back to my younger days when I used to ride my Harley like a fucking asshole.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? That I do not do anymore because I'm older, more mature, and smarter. Dude, this one song would come on and it just made me want to fucking hit the throttle so hard every time. And even now when I hear it, it's just like, it just makes me want to do stupid shit. And that is The Offspring, The Kids Aren't All Right.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one, dude.
Yeah.
That's a good song, man.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that is a good one. My hype song could really change by the day.
Sure.
Or maybe not so much by the day. Like I'll get like, I'll be on one for a little while and I'm like, yeah, this is the one. And I'm like, that'll just change. And if I think too much about it, I'm like, well, and as a DJ, Like, I don't put
Sure.
the stress on individual songs for stuff. Like when I'm working with a couple and they're like, oh, what's our first dance song going to be? Or, what's the father-daughter song going to be? And I'm like, for you, that's a big deal. For me, I could rattle off 100 songs right now and you'd be like, I guess
Yeah,
those
of
would
course.
work.
Yeah.
So mine is $1 Million Baby.
Oh, okay.
I've been using it in so many reels, so much. It's
now that I
Tommy
think about
Richmond.
it, yeah.
And I'm like, because I go back and forth between a bunch. Another one that I would use in a heartbeat is Action Bronson's White Bronco.
Okay.
Which is a weird fucking thing because it's very mellow and it's short.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I'll go through the list here though. Our guest, and I asked Kaitlyn in this interview what hers is. I'll tell you what it is right now. It's Take Me Home Tonight from Eddie Money. Like, that's a solid song.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that's a good song.
That's a solid song. Remember My Name from Fort Minor. We actually had a couple of people that had submitted that.
That's like right up my wheelhouse when me growing up. Yeah.
That was I want to say it was BFS Bogley and I forget who the other one was. There was multiple people who said that one.
Yeah.
Shit, I forgot who said Crazy Train. So I'll just go through the song titles because I'm forgetting some of these.
Dan just said a good one too.
Twisted Sister, Don't Give a Damn About My Reputation. Oh, there you go, buddy. So we got Hail to the King from Avenged Sevenfold.
Oh, good one.
Crazy Train from Ozzy Osbourne.
Okay, yep.
I think it was Luke, or I'm sorry, not Luke. Lance Likes to Fish from NACO. He's a NACO rep, and he also is a team partner for Reaction Tackle. He was as a 90s kid, I just can't not say the Stone Cold Steve Austin theme. And I was like, fucking A, man. That's
dude,
awesome.
I fucking used to love that shit, dude.
Oh, dude. Yeah. If you were into wrestling at all.
I was into wrestling back then. Yeah. The fucking Mankind, Kane, Stone Cold days, The Rock, when The Rock came in. Oh yeah. That's when I loved it.
Paul and Jeff from Aggressively Average Anglers went with Everybody, Backstreet's Back. And on the playlist, I put the extended mix because I was like, I respect you guys so much for that. That is awesome. Wild Bill Fishing. Wild Bill.
Ooh, I'd be curious to hear this one.
Devil Without a Cause from Kid Rock. Not a shock at all.
No, I figured it was going to be that or like Tina Turner with him.
Or Tina Turner. Okay, fair enough.
I could see him as like the best. Tina Turner.
Yeah, I could see him doing that. Who else do we have? I forget who it was. Put Party Up from DMX. No, that was Brad Brown. Past guest Brad Brown.
Okay.
Stressed from FJ Outlaw. That was Eric Dowd. Moose, a guy I fish with periodically.
Yeah.
This is a good one. Serious. The Chicago Bulls intro. That's Adam Blomeke.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's pretty badass. Which actually, I run for the stupid little side tangent here. Thursday was the first game of the NBA Finals, right?
Right.
Championships, big deal. Game one. And, Celtics did fucking great. And in the breaks back and forth, you're hearing the fucking the NBA intro music, and in my mind, like, these fucking people are losing their mind at the bar. Same people that were playing trivia, and I'm like, I know you guys. You don't give a fuck about basketball. Like, that's what it is this time of year. These fair weather fans, like, they show up and they're in bars. They're like, woo, yeah. I'm like, dude, whatever.
That's wicked funny. That's me, and
oh, it's
I don't know,
but like, I'm like,
I don't know. Here's where I'm like the biggest fair weather fan, and we're not going to get on this. It's just funny. I don't watch soccer ever. I don't even know anything about it. But when the World Cup comes, dude, all of a sudden I'm a fucking soccer fan, and I start watching that shit.
Dude, that is really the World Cup of all things.
That's the only time I watch it. And like, dude, it's coming here in 26, so I might go to a game.
You should. You absolutely should. Absolutely fucking should. There is so anyway, like, I'm hearing the NBA intro music, and I'm in my mind immediately back to Saturday Night Live. I'm like,
Basketball, gimme the ball because I'm gonna dunk it.
And I'm laughing in my head, and like people that are sitting around me are like, "Is he okay?" And I'm like beat red laughing. I don't know. I got problems.
Yep.
We got Janelle Orsino put bad motherfucker from MGK and Kid Rock. That's a good one, which is awesome. Okay. Janelle is like a little cartoon pit bull. You need to understand that about Janelle. She's the tiniest human, but she is just all like, it's unbelievable.
You know why I'm not an MGK fan, Bobby?
Why is that?
Because I grew up with Eminem, man.
You grew up with Eminem,
and like, I grew up with Eminem, and they got this riff going, so I got to stand by my boy.
They do. I think it was Chris Mellowship put Too Old to Die Young from Brother Deej, which is like more of like a country, like swamp rock kind of song.
Yep, I'm familiar with that one.
Of course, Delirious put Tech Nine's Dysfunctional. Like,
whoa, I didn't expect Tech Nine from him.
Shocker there.
Wow, that's awesome.
The best is that, who was it? Debo. Debo loves Slipknot. He loves metal in general. Okay. And he was like, dude, he's like, I got to go psychosocial on this. And then I look at, like, the next day, I add this. I was like, there you go, man. Cool. And I added it. The next day, I see this reel, and it's like a picture of like a birthday cake and a hot dog, or a beer and a hot dog, or something like that. Yeah. And the reel on top says, hey, man, let's go to Chuck E. Cheese and fight a kid. And the song they use for the reel is Psychosocial, which is even funnier because Debo is like a former MMA guy. You know? I'm like, so like, I go to Chuck E. Cheese and fight a kid. That kid needs a little bit of therapy. He goes to Chuck E. Cheese and fights a kid. That kid's dead.
Dead.
You know what I mean? Like, it's a different animal.
Absolutely.
I do want to go through. We actually have a couple more that have just come in here. We mentioned Dan's Twisted Sister. Don Felder's Take a Ride. Pat Martin suggested. I love this next one he suggested because it's my favorite band ever. The Gash from the Flaming Lips.
Okay. I'm not familiar with that one.
I would probably choose, if I had to choose a Flaming Lips song, it would be Silver Trembling Hands, Pat. That's what my jam would be if I were going to use the Lips as a hype song. There's some good shit from Yoshimi, too, that I would love to use. But, yeah, The Gash is a good one. Yeah, it was really good. I have a bunch more people have messaged me. I just haven't added them to the list right now. Like somebody in here put Frogman from Whiskey Myers. Yeah, that's a good tune. Oh, that and then Becca, Friday night, I'm doing trivia at Becca. I get a notification on my screen. And she's like, oh, I got it. She goes, Did It On 'Em from Nicki Minaj. And she goes, it's just for the line. She goes, if I had a dick, I'd pull it out and piss on him. I'm like, oh, my God, Becca. My God, good for you, Becca. Oh, yeah, very, very good stuff. So, yeah, I'm putting that together, and you may, at the Kayak Adventure Series at the Susquehanna, you may see some of these songs get used in a music round for trivia down there.
That's awesome.
I got to talk to Drew about, like, finalizing stuff. But I'm like, maybe we'll do a music round. We'll have a little bit of fun with it. It could be kind of cool. I don't think I'm fishing that.
I really want to get down there.
If you're down to go and hang out and just camp and like do a bank send or something, I'm into it.
Or we could, maybe I'll bring the fucking boat down and we'll do our own thing.
We could. We definitely could. I would not be against that. It's just that my kayak is just not set up for the Susky. For rivers anyway. And I'm like, I got to do trivia. I got to haul that gear down. I'm like, I think I would rather put all that gear like in a trailer because my plan is to camp in my truck. Or I could. It's so crazy because I could camp in. I could bring my tent. If we're gonna go, I've got the tent with the dual cots and everything. And
sure.
Bogley says I'm coming. Good. John Hagan says, what did I miss? Damn phone died while cutting the grass. Oh, Jesus. Freaking phones. You missed a bunch, John. Go back and check out the show.
Have to go back.
Yeah, go back and check out the show. So yeah, that'll be in August. That's coming up. August is going to be insane. It really
yeah,
is.
it's the same way for me. It's like all of a sudden a bunch of shit's like coming up, and I already like I'm pretty full. So
I know it's crazy. I got to confirm all that with Drew, but yeah, I was like, I'm going to put this list together. That way, it's there, and I can go ahead and put these songs together, and then say like that's why I'm trying to remember who submitted what song or something. Like I'm probably just going to straight up name that tune, and if I have the details off the top of my mind. I need to buy a goat. Yeah, you need to buy a goat, John. Fuck. My wife wants a goat so bad. So bad.
Mine too.
The goddamn city won't allow it. And I'm like, fuck the city.
Really?
Yeah. But
you can get away with fucking everything here.
They don't allow like people to have chickens and shit. But I'll tell you what, it's not weird for me to be driving first thing in the morning through on like Beach Street in Holyoke and see like just runaway chickens going from one side of the street to the other. Like I
got a couple friends that live in the same city as you.
Yeah.
They talk about how fucking stupid. Dude, I could put a fucking zebra in my yard and no one would say a fucking thing.
Yeah, it's why I would love a goat. Just like set up a pen, let it eat all that grass, move it, boom, done. I'd be all about that shit.
Actually, Meg and Emma were feeding the fucking goats at Oakholm for like an hour.
Oh, I believe that.
I was like, oh boy.
I almost
like, oh boy.
I almost made the call to go to Oakholm because I think it was like the last episode or the episode previous. Somebody said that their pizza is out of this world.
So it's funny you say that. I saw it and I was like, I'm gonna get this, and they fucking sold out.
No
this
shit.
is towards the end of the night. This is towards the end of the night. It looked fire. It looked good.
Yeah, somebody was like, "Oh yeah, their pizza's awesome." I'm like, maybe that's what I'll do. I'll go over to Oakholm because I wasn't far. I was right in that area. Oh, good shit. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and take a short break. When we get back, I sit down with Kaitlyn Conti, the stream queen herself. We get into all the details. It's a great interview. Trust me, you guys are going to absolutely love it. She's an absolute hammer. And if you're interested in fishing for steelhead in some interesting areas that maybe, or you're just interested in fishing around the Erie area, period, like her content will really kind of give you a little bit of insight as to like what it's all about. She really, really loves that area. So it's good stuff. We will see you in a bit. And by the way, I don't know if I said this before. Maybe I did off the top of the show. This is the first time we've ever had a guest on the show that has their own fishing rod and reel combo with their name on it that you can go to Cabela's or Bass Pro and buy it. Like, that is crazy. Normally, I don't get that's all awesome. Like, holy shit, that's a kind of a big deal, but I think it's a big deal. So, good stuff. Guys, we'll be back in a bit. Don't go too far. More Jigs and friggin' Bigs coming up right after this. Hey guys, Bobby Roast Beef here from Jigs and Bigs. If there's one thing I can't stand spending money on, it's on something that's not versatile, something that I can't get a lot of use out of. I want to talk to you about Frost Buddy. What Frost Buddy is it's one of those can coolers. I've seen these before. In fact, I have some that are limited to only fitting one specific size of can, like a standard 12-ounce can. I stumbled onto Frost Buddy, and I was blown away with it. So versatile. Fits standard cans, tall cans, slim cans, and even 12-ounce bottles. And the magic is the insert fits all of these items in various stages within the insert. And when you take that out, you can fit a full 16-ounce tall boy can. In fact, it even doubles down on being versatile with the coffee lid. And on my recent trip to Chickamauga, I had a field day with this thing. I was throwing beer cans in it. I'd have coffee in the morning. On the drive, I was throwing in all different sizes of cans for different canned coffee products to keep me awake on the long drive back. The thing was amazing. So I recommend you check out Frost Buddy. If you're in the market for either a travel cup for your coffee or a can cooler at all, either one of those, check it out. For the money, you cannot go wrong. What I've done is this. In the show notes for this podcast you're listening to right now, if you look there, you'll find a link to Frost Buddy where you can get yours. And not only can you go and get your Frost Buddy there, but you can help out the show as well. Go and visit that link in the show notes to this podcast. Check out a Frost Buddy. Tons of colors, tons of patterns, all kinds of great stuff. And it's a great spot to put your Jigs and Bigs sticker too. Take it from me, Bobby Roast Beef. You're going to get the most versatility out of this one product, probably out of anything you're ever going to buy, especially for anything that you're drinking. Frost Buddy. It works for me. I'm a happy guy. righty, guys. Bobby Roast Beef here with another interview segment for Jigs and Bigs. We got a great show lined up, guys. I've got a guest on that I'm gonna, if I'm being completely honest here, I've done a little stalking, watching the content overload of great stuff, and I'm talking multiple platforms, Instagram and TikTok, kind of being the priority, but also like on YouTube. Her stuff's pretty freaking fantastic. And I love it because I'm all about multi-species fishing lately these days, and this falls right into the fold. Let's welcome Kaitlyn Conti with us. Kaitlyn, how are you? AKA the Stream Queen. How's things?
Things are going great right now, staying busy, loving the weather, getting outside. It's been an early summer this year, but it's allowed me the opportunity to try some new things. So I'm pretty excited.
It's not a bad thing. I've seen you've gotten out and done some bass fishing over the past couple of weeks. That's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. And I actually have some upcoming trips as well to do some bass fishing with anglers that I never thought I'd have opportunity to do it with, and places that I never thought I would even get to go to as well. So it's been pretty cool.
That's freaking awesome. I absolutely love that. I love when people get outside of their comfort zone a little bit, and like that's part of what Jigs and Bigs is kind of all about. Like, bass fishing is great. It's awesome. It's safe. You know what I mean? Like, you can pick these fish up and you might get a spine if you fuck around with their dorsal fin or something, but it's like, for the most part, they're fine. But then you put yourself in these elements where you're like, oh, let me catch like a 30 or 40 pound carp and try to manage that chaos. Or I have an idea. Let's put a dinosaur in a 14-foot plastic boat with teeth, like, you know, and it's just, it's a whole other beast. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
It really is.
The learning curve with bass is not that big, right? When you start going for your muskie, or if you attempt saltwater, there's so much that you have to learn leading up to that. Even when it comes to trout and steelhead and letting them go and making sure you handle them right.
Yep.
The bass is definitely the easiest to really just get into and not worry about too much.
That's exactly, and they're hardy. That's the thing. Bass, they can take it. You know what I mean? I recently shared a reel where they were like, oh, trout anglers, and somebody's releasing a trout, and there's a voiceover, and it says,
oh, the pH is just not right over this gravel. I think I might die.
And then the other one, it's like the bass release, and it's just like, oh, look, concrete, yay! You know, and it's just...
Exactly.
It's insane. It's insane. So let's go ahead. Let's start at the beginning, Kaitlyn, because one of the things I'm a sucker for is an origin story. And I always find it's interesting to see how folks get into the outdoors and like the path that got them to where they are. And we'll cover like what you're doing with content and stuff specifically, but like walk us through the road of how we got here.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really not your typical origin story of getting into fishing and really exploring the outdoors. As you can tell, I'm not your typical outdoorsy kind of girl. I'm a big fan of the makeup and doing your hair. I was a competitive cheerleader for 12, 13 years.
Really?
And I grew up right outside of DC.
Yeah.
So it wasn't ever something really on my radar. I mean, I had friends that were very outdoorsy. I loved spending time outside, like riding my bike around the neighborhood, that whole like pre-cell phone, pre-iPhone era. But I was never around fishing. It wasn't something I was exposed to at a young age. But when I went to West Virginia University, I ended up meeting a guy, and he taught me how to fish because it was something he had been passionate about his whole life. So I was like, okay, this is fun. It's nice. But at first I didn't really like it. And a lot of people are actually surprised to hear that. Yeah. When I first started fishing, I was very resistant to it, almost in a sense. And I think it came from the fact that I wasn't immediately really good at it. Right. Yeah. I was struggling with tying, like, you know, I was shown how to tie a knot, but I wasn't great at it on the first try. So probably within 6 months, you know, that peak of frustration that you get when you first start fishing, that leaves that itch that you want to scratch, right? You're shown how to fish. You're shown how to tie a knot. You now know that there are fish in there, but you're not getting them. And it started to leave more of kind of a want to go back rather than a frustration to stop you from going back. So I started going every weekend. A lot of my classes in college were online. So I was going during the week too. I was going Tuesday through Friday or Thursday through Monday. Awesome. And I just picked up this absolute knack for it. And, you know, to this day, I still like to say that I got a little bit better at it than somebody that I was fishing with. But I mean, it was
gotcha
competition, but it's just something I became really, really good at. And the content aspect had always been something I'd known how to do on the side. So I blended the two, we parted ways. And then, I started this page on my own and kind of grew a life of its own.
That's amazing. It really is just to see the growth. And it's funny that you talk about that level of frustration, because I think that, when you are younger and you have that introduction as a young kid, like lots of things that you're doing, you have to deal with this sort of frustration. But when you come to it later on as an adult, and this is interesting because I do find that there is a good population, myself being one of those. When I was a kid, I got introduced to the outdoors from my dad and my uncles, and but a lot of this stuff, like, I didn't really fully grasp. So like you talk about the simple stuff like tying knots. When I got back into it in my 30s, looking for a hobby that was cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was stupid.
That's weird.
Yeah. So when I got back into it later in my 30s, I was tying knots, and I would, I'd set the hook on probably a log, and I'd cut, the pigtail at the end of I'm like, okay, so that knot sucked, and it was just one of those things. But you're right. Like there's a tipping point where eventually it becomes the desire to actually want to succeed in this, and the willingness to put the time in to figure it out. And it's not an easy road necessarily for everybody, but it's awesome that you made it happen. And also awesome that you surpassed maybe your own expectations to sort of become such an amazing angler. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. And I think a lot of it, too, is contributed to the content that people put out, right? Like, once you hit that tipping point of I'm not frustrated and wanting to give up, I'm actually wanting to figure out how to get better.
Yep.
Where does everybody go? They go to YouTube. They go to TikTok. They go and find a video to find their answer. So it's kind of funny how it's all full circle.
Now, what was the first platform that you decided to take off with, or that you decided to put your efforts into?
I think it was Instagram, actually. I just had this trove of images, right? I mean, anytime you go out, if you go out with somebody else, it was like, oh, look at this one. I've never seen one like this before. Let's get a picture with it. So I just had this overstock of images. So I was like, I might as well start posting. Somebody's gonna like them. Like, I thought they were kind of cool. And so Instagram, and then the videos followed suit, which then TikTok was blowing up. So it all just kind of bled into each other.
That is awesome. That is freaking awesome. Now, I will say this, like, I've looked at a lot of your profiles. You've got, I think you actually have the biggest following on Instagram of any guest we've ever had on.
Really?
Yeah, I do. I think so. And I mean, not that that's like a competition or anything, but it's impressive. You're like, holy crap, that's kind of amazing. But add to that, you're the only guest we've ever had on that has their name on a fishing rod. Like, how did that even happen for you, Kaitlyn?
Honestly, I'm still trying to figure that one out to this day. It's one of those moments in life where I am blown away with the opportunity that came my way. And at times I'll, when I see it in a store, I'm like, that's not real. Like, it doesn't feel real. It's never something that I thought like, oh, I really hope this happens in my time, right?
It was never a goal on your dream board.
Yeah, no, exactly. And so I began working for a company in the outdoor industry called Waypoint TV.
All right.
Yeah, so I work in marketing for them. I love them. The company is fantastic. People I work with are even better.
Yep.
And so when I first started, I was hired at the end of June. My first week on the job, they were like, hey, we're going to send you to iCast, right? We have a booth at iCast. We'd love for you to go. Mind you, I had been doing like social media deal with the company Proficiency, right?
Yeah.
I'll tag you and stuff. I love your rods. You guys are great. The people were awesome. And then ended up going on iCast, and they were like, hey, like, we're here too. We would love to meet you in person. And then that just opened up the conversation. Like, hey, would you like to do a collaboration? It was just one of those things that was so natural and authentic. And honestly, it just fell into place there. I genuinely love that rod. It was never a partnership deal. They never reached out to me.
Gotcha.
went on a fishing trip. I broke 2 rods on the way to Erie.
Yeah.
And then I went to the store, and that's the rod that I chose. So it was a very genuine, connection with a brand. And it led to this, which has just been so incredible. And I'm so thankful for Proficiency and everything that they've done for me.
So here's what's awesome. I'm in a position right now where I'm doing some boat shopping. But we're going to actually, in the episode where this runs, we're going to be talking about a handful of different things that I have going on and what's on the road for Jigs and Bigs, but I'm doing some boat shopping. I've been fishing out of a kayak now for a few years, and I absolutely love it. But I love the social element of fishing. And one of the things is, like, my father has bad knees. He's got, bad joints. He's getting a little bit older. I'm never going to get him in a kayak. Yeah. But same thing with my wife. I'm trying to convince her to get in a kayak as well. She won't do it. I'm like, all right, let's get a boat. Let's make content on the water. Let's get a boat. Screw it. I'm doing it. And I'm doing it at like an entry level sort of point. I kind of want to take the audience on the journey, so to speak. I am updating my wife's fishing gear. And she doesn't throw bait casters yet. We'll get there. She's got to get the bug.
Yeah.
I'm buying her both of your rods.
Oh, no way.
Both of them, yeah, because they're her favorite color, and that matters more to her right now than catching fish.
Yeah.
My goal is to introduce her someday to BFS fishing, and it'll be over. Finesse bait caster fishing, it'll be game over.
Yeah.
Let's talk. So that's where I'm. So that's my plan. And actually, I think there's one that's out of stock. I'm just waiting for it to show up, and I'm gonna.
I was going to say, I would love to send them to you myself. So don't worry about getting them. I will have them sent to you.
She is going to lose it too. She is absolutely going to lose it. So that's my goal. That's where I'm at. I do want to talk about, you fish in Erie, Pennsylvania a lot. Yeah. Now, so you're originally from outside of DC, right? Mm-hmm. You're not a Pennsylvania native originally. No. All right. So that's going to make this a little portion that we have here even more interesting. Pennsylvania is an interesting state. Excuse me. PA is an interesting state. We're going to talk about that later. But what was it about Erie that brought you there?
Absolutely. So Erie is known as a steelhead mecca, right? Mm-hmm. It's the East Coast version. It's really, you have New York, you have Ohio, you have those places where you can also get steelhead, but there's something about Erie being Steelhead Alley and being in that town, that city, that is just so much far beyond what you're going to get in New York. I feel like New York has become so aggressive. I've fished in New York. I did the Salmon River. I did the public water in New York. Mm-hmm. It is cutthroat.
It's
you
psycho.
Need to know what you're doing, and you can't mess up. You cast in the wrong spot, someone's going to try and beat you up.
You're going to get a shank. Yep.
Exactly. And you've seen the videos of them too. Like, people are not scared to mark their territory.
Honestly, Kaitlyn, it's just like if you go striper fishing in Cape Cod on the canals. Like, you need to have a piece, because it's going to be, it gets crazy. People lose their minds. That is not my style. So Erie is a little bit of an escape from that.
Absolutely. And I know that might be controversial to some people. However, Erie allows you the ability to walk away. Like, I can't tell you how many days I've just parked my car and then walked for miles, and that's allowed me to find spots and places that I don't see people, right? It's more family friendly. If you are going to see people, you might see a father and his young son. You might see a group of friends. You're not going to see the massive crowds of people who are aggressive and worried about, oh, I have to catch a fish, and they're going to be rude to you. So it's just been more family friendly. Mm-hmm. Whenever I want to take people for their first time, it provides an opportunity to do that. And if somebody kind of gets close, I can be like, hey, we're kind of learning here, so I don't want to get your way.
Exactly. That's cool. Yeah. That's really cool. I did notice you had put a video out. I don't know if it was this last Thanksgiving, but you put out a video where you had gone out with your father and his wife, and they had never caught fish before. And you put them on some pretty good fish.
Yeah. So that was actually at a trout club in Indiana, PA. Okay. I wanted to start them there mainly to ensure that they get fish.
Yeah, fair enough.
But my dad's wife, she has actually taken it upon herself to dive headfirst into the fishing world. They're still back home in Northern Virginia.
Yep.
But she is full force. She'll go fishing every single week, every single day.
No kidding.
My dad, on the other hand, is more of your handyman. You know,
Sure,
he was I'm happy to be here. I'm glad you do this. Not for me.
Not his deal. Yeah.
Yeah, but his wife is super into it. She loves it, and she catches some monster bass too.
That's awesome.
Bass fishing in Virginia is great.
Bass fishing in Virginia is great, and you know what? You know what else is an amazing style of fishing that in Virginia, and in that little pocket right there, snakehead fishing. Snakehead fishing is amazing.
Yeah, I went out last weekend on my friend's boat in Woodbridge, Virginia, and we were bass fishing, honestly, just kind of fishing for whatever.
Of course,
thinking that we were seeing snakeheads, and it was as the sun was going down too. I don't know much about them, but even in that short period of time hanging out with them, I learned so much, and then saw one of those massive boats with the lights underneath where they were fishing for snakeheads come through. I mean, that's got to be top of the bucket list now.
It's wild. It's wild. There's nothing like that. Like I said, I love multi-species fishing because every species has something different to offer. And when you get into fishing for snakehead and bowfin, it's unlike any other kind of fight you've had with a freshwater fish. Pound for pound, it's amazing. Absolutely amazing. Let's talk species of fish because you fish a lot for steelhead. Those folks that don't know, steelhead and rainbow trout are essentially scientifically, they're the same species. It's just that steelhead have a different lifestyle. They migrate is basically what happens.
Yep.
What is it that drew you into steelhead? And then what's your other short list of favorite species to catch?
Oh, gosh. Okay, so first question being, what drew me into steelhead?
Mm-hmm.
So the first one that I ever caught was fresh out of the lake. I was casting spoons into Lake Erie at Trout Run. If anybody's familiar with Erie, they'll know where that is. The fight that those fish put up when they are fresh out of the lake is unlike any other thing I've ever experienced. Because, you know, when you're not used to fishing and you've never done it before, you're thinking, oh, I just reel in a fish, right? Nobody tells you or prepares you for the adrenaline that pumps through your body and the shaking that will take over. I mean, that first fish that I ever caught, watching it jump probably 3-4 feet out of the water.
Yep.
I mean, you're just standing there like, what do I do with this?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That adrenaline really kept me coming back and being like, okay, we need to go again. I want to get another one.
Yep.
I want to feel that. And even to this day, you know, the first few of the season, or even in the midst of the season, I will still get that same rush of adrenaline that I did the first time. That's really the draw with that.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. No, what about that short list of other species that you like?
Oh gosh, this is a tough one. I recently went on a saltwater trip and I caught snook.
Yeah.
Snook, and it was a nice size snook, but I will say I would love to catch a massive snook.
Yep.
I caught a small red. I would love to catch a massive one.
Oh yeah.
Snakehead's definitely up there. Preferably, I'd like to try bow fishing for them.
Yep.
I think that would be a really cool experience. And then striper or rockfish, you know, whatever region you're from. I would love to go for a massive, massive striper as well.
You know, living as close to the Cape as I am and having the access to the Connecticut River, which is a great striper factory, fishery when they move in. I've never fished for striper, ever. And as a card-carrying masshole, I am like, it's just not my thing. I could be dead wrong. I'm probably missing something. I probably am, but I'm just like, I'm so buried in everything else. What's your PB steelhead?
Oh goodness. So I will say, I think my worst trait as an angler is that I don't measure or weigh.
Oh, gotcha.
And I don't bullshit very well either. So like
fair enough.
I'm not anybody who like pinches the tail and, you know, puts it up against the rod. I'm genuinely just like, it's so big.
It was
what
like
do I
this.
do?
Yeah, I hear it. And that's the thing. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Like, I mean, there are folks that are numbers people, and there are folks who are just like, I went out and I had this experience, and that's what ultimately matters. And then there are folks like me that are kind of in the middle of it, where it's all, and that's the whole thing. That's awesome. You do catch some giants, I will say that. And you've got the nice thing is that you've got video proof of it because you're out there creating content as all this kind of comes together. So I am going to go ahead and we're going to play a little game here. And this is going to be even more interesting with some of the ones that I had picked because you're not a Pennsylvania native. This could be really good. So let's go ahead and start with this. We're going to play a game of overrated, underrated, right? Super popular in our little corner of the world, right? And I'm going to give you a list of some things, and we're going to talk about each one, if they're overrated or if they're underrated. Let's start with we're talking Pennsylvania cheesesteaks. Overrated or underrated?
I've done the cheesesteak from the opposite side of the state.
Oh yeah.
I gotta say they're overrated simply because I'm not on that side of the state. I'm not near Philly.
Gotcha.
So over here it's kind of like, cheesesteak's a cheesesteak.
You know where the best cheesesteak I ever had came from?
Where?
Crumpton, Maryland. Maryland. Yeah. Out of this world. And I was on a fishing trip, and our group were just like, let's go grab something for lunch. And the local guy that we had connected with, Cody Lockwood Fishing, this guy is an absolute savage. He's like the Tony Soprano of his area. It's ridiculous. And he brought us to this spot, and it was absolutely. You take one look at me. You're a guy. You look at me. You're like, Bobby Roast Beef is a guy who knows a good cheesesteak. I'm telling you, the best cheesesteak I've ever had in my life came from Crumpton, Maryland. Yeah.
Wow.
Crazy.
You would never guess that.
Not at all. Not at all. So next one, overrated, underrated. Hershey, both the town and the chocolate.
I will say I don't think the chocolate is overrated. I am a big chocolate lover.
Yep.
I think the town is a little overrated.
Yeah, a little bit overrated.
There's some better areas around that are like cooler, more interesting, fun to go to.
For
the
sure.
Chocolate, definitely not overrated.
This one is a very specific one, and I'm curious what you're thinking of. Hers brand potato chips.
Oh.
Hers is a Pennsylvania staple brand, and there are some really interesting flavors, like they do in Old Bay, I believe, and some stuff like that. So if you don't have an opinion on this one, don't worry about it.
I will say I'm not the biggest potato chip person.
Okay, all right, fair enough. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Now this one's going to be interesting because it's a two-parter. Okay, there's a battle between these next two that folks get really, really psyched out about. Sheets, is it overrated or underrated?
I am a sheets lover through and through. I've never been a Wawa girl.
Oh, this is going to get juicy. Okay.
This is sheets. I actually have this really awful habit of during steelhead season, so early fall, I will leave my house at around 3:30 in the morning.
Yep.
And I will drive to Sheets and order the big app mozzarella sticks. And I will eat Sheets mozzarella sticks at 4:00 in the morning on my way to go fishing. It is what it is.
It's a beautiful thing, man. There's nothing, there's no shame there at all. I did a trip to North Carolina with the Jabberhammer from the Bass and Brews podcast, and we were fishing Jordan Lake. We had a great time. The fishing was ridiculous. It was terrible, but the camping was awesome. And that's all I ate on the drive back and forth, was stopping at Sheets in between. And the same thing when we did the Columbus Fishing Expo. Adam Blamecki and I, we were headed out to the expo. We stopped at a Sheets. I'm like, you don't know what you're missing. It's out of this world. But then something changed. And let's go to this next one. So you said you're not a Wawa girl. I'm going to assume you think it's overrated.
Yes, most definitely.
Oh my God.
You were converted.
I was converted, and it happened. It's Kaitlyn, this is gonna kill you, but the conversion happened at a Wawa
in New Jersey.
Right?
Yikes. I feel like those are the worst ones to be converted by. Like, at least let it be in Virginia or something.
This is when I went to the Snakehead trip. I went with a past guest on the show, Janelle Orsino, enthusiast adventurer, and we camped for 2 nights in southern New Jersey. We were just outside of like camping. We're not far from Philly at all, and we're in this area, and it was like a whole other world. Like, you think of this super urban area, and then I was just like, these are just straight roads with like 55-mile-an-hour speed limits and like a Wawa and a Tractor Supply, and that's it, you know?
A good Dollar General around the corner.
Yeah, if you're lucky. So I stopped at a Wawa because I had to get out first thing Monday morning for this trip. So it was like 7 or 8 a.m., something like that. Yeah. And I hit the road. We had just broken camp. I hit the road. I'm on my way, and I'm like, I'm just going to grab breakfast at Wawa. And I was like, let's put this to the test. So I ordered a hoagie, and you have to understand, for me even saying that word as a New Englander fucking kills me. Yeah, it's weird to say hoagie. Now, up here it's a grinder. Up here it's a grinder. We're weird. We're weird.
Never heard of that one before.
So I get a hoagie, and I got the Italian egg sandwich, which was out of this world. So good. Okay. And then I got a breakfast burrito just to kind of check to see what was the better move. Exactly. And I'll tell you what, the breakfast burrito was better than fine. Like, it was better than passable, and especially for a gas station. I was like, I made a mistake on the coffee. On their app to order, there was an ad that popped up that was like, you need to try the 0 sugar creme brulee, and it was just way too artificial tasting. I should have just stuck with the black coffee or an Americano. That 100% would have been the move. But I can go kind of between the two. So we're going Sheetz underrated, Wawa overrated on that one.
Oh, yeah.
Fair enough. Okay.
I mean, I will say you planted a seed. Yep. So if I do happen to pass one, I might have to give it a chance, but it won't be a fair chance. And I'm going to say that to really back up the PA in me.
Absolutely. If you're ever in the cesspool of New Jersey, though, I highly recommend you give it a shot. What I don't recommend in New Jersey is to drive a trailer through 95 directly through the state, because it is a massive extra toll that you're going to pay. It's a bit much. Let's talk this. This is a Pennsylvania staple dessert, shoe fly pie. I didn't know that was from Pennsylvania. I feel like
I've heard of it, but I can't picture or think of what would be in it. I've definitely heard of it, though.
It's, I think it's some kind of like, it's super sweet, apparently. Like, it's molasses and something else with like a crumble on top. And it comes from Amish country, like Lancaster County. And so it's one of those things. And they say, do not eat it outdoors. Like, bugs will just be drawn to it because it's so sweet. You're in the right pocket of the country, though. Overrated or underrated? Scrapple.
Like apple scrapple?
No, like pork scrapple.
Oh, underrated. Oh, my goodness.
Right.
I love all kinds of pork and meat. Oh, my goodness. I could be a carnivore. I could live off meat.
Yeah. I agree. When that trip that I was in Maryland, the first morning we had gone out, Cody had put together these bagel sandwiches with scrapple, and it was out of this world. It gets a bad rap. So I'm curious about this one too. This is apparently a big Philly thing as well. Tomato pie. No.
I'm not big on tomatoes. I'm not gonna lie. I've been a picky eater most of my life.
Okay.
The big change in it was fish. When I was introduced to fish and sushi, fresh fish, that really changed my taste buds. But tomatoes, I can't get behind.
Gotcha.
I would love to. I love, sauces, things with tomatoes in them.
Sure. Well, tomato pie is weird because it's basically pizza, but it's got more sauce and less cheese.
Yeah. I'm more on the cheese.
More on the cheese. Fair enough. I mean, Sheetz mozzarella sticks at 4 a.m. before fishing. I think the writing was on the wall. I think it was. Last one, and I have to word this the right way because I don't want anybody, though they're not listening to this show. Lancaster County and the Amish. Yes. Overrated. And when I say that, I'm talking about meaning like as a tourism attraction. Is that overrated or underrated?
I will actually say it is underrated.
Really?
I've been, not to mention, and I don't know if you're not from Erie or Pennsylvania in general, You might not know this, but the Amish are incredible anglers. I mean, there have been countless times when I've been fishing in Erie or just in PA in general. And when you see a group of 3 or 4 Amish kids come up, you're going to want to leave because they're about to catch every fish in the general vicinity.
No kidding.
Like, it's not even funny. They are so incredibly talented at fishing. I have just been, dumbfounded at times, just being like, how are you doing that? Like, what are you doing that's so different? But also just, Amish country in general, their baked goods, their goods that they sell.
Their furniture.
Oh my goodness. You can't pay enough money, in a regular store for that. You really just can't. Yeah. You won't get anything of similar value.
No, that is awesome. I agree 100%. My wife for the longest time has been like, we should do a trip to Lancaster County. It'll be fun. And I'm like, really? Do you think you're going to have as much of a good time as you think? You want to do like a horse and buggy ride? Is that what that's about? Let's go fishing instead. Maybe I can convince her to go steelhead fishing.
There you go. I mean, heck, I'll see you up there. Yeah. Let's do it.
Yeah, maybe we can do that. So I'm a big fan of, like I said, the social part of fishing. I'm a huge believer in, there just being an amazing sort of, it's a different kind of connection when you're on a boat with somebody or on the bank for hours and you're fishing. Like, there's just something special that comes about it. Yeah. So I want to know like a top 3 of like people you would love to fish with. And they can be famous. They could be folks that you actually know. They could not even be anglers. You know what I mean? Like, this is wide open to however you want to interpret it.
Oh, goodness. This is a toughie. I think, wow, what a great question. So, to give a general category, I think it would be fun to take somebody who's never really been before, right? You always want to take a newbie because nothing is funnier, more exciting than watching them hook into their first fish of the day. Yeah. So I think for a newbie,
if there's someone specific, you can call them out here too.
I'm going to have to come back to the newbie. Okay. But I think for somebody who definitely knows what they're doing, I think it would be really awesome to fish with Sydney Wells, if you're familiar.
Oh, yeah. Sydney Wells. Absolutely.
I think she is such a badass. I know that she has done a ton of fishing in her life, but I don't think she's ever done Erie steelhead.
Yeah.
I'm pretty confident in saying that. So I think she would be awesome to go with. She's so cool, love her stuff. And I think kind of an outlandish one, somebody who might not know what they're doing. I would love to fish with like Sidney Crosby. I love hockey. I'm a big hockey fan.
Oh, really? Okay.
He would just, good old Pittsburgh Penguins, hometown. I think he would be so much fun to fish with.
Gotcha.
And then the newbie, goodness, I don't think I can put my finger on one. Just like somebody super eager, maybe completely out of their comfort zone.
Those are the best.
Those are the most fun.
Yep, they 100% are. That's part of what I want to do with the boat is bring newbies out on the boat where I can put them on fish and then get that reaction of like, oh my God, I can't believe this. And hopefully the goal being now they're like, I'm hooked. I want to do this, pun intended.
Exactly.
Now, we talked a little bit about this question. I gave you a little bit of a heads up on this one, but I'm introducing this kind of into the fold of other questions. You said you had a really good answer for it.
I do.
The way I've been kind of wording this to folks to kind of give it like that level of grandeur is imagine for whatever reason, like you're all of a sudden at the Bassmaster Classic or whatever, the steelhead equivalent of that, or, whatever type of an event that is, or maybe you're just looking to get hyped up on the way to the ramp. What is that song that you would be introduced to? You know what I mean? That hype song.
Yeah. So, getting that 3:30 a.m. start for me, early morning fall. It's got to be Take Me Home Tonight by Eddie Money.
Really?
Every single time. It is my go-to. Anybody who knows me or has fished with me knows that song is getting played with all of the windows down at 4:00 in the morning. It's it's going to happen. That's how you start the day.
So your neighbors know when you're going to fish because there's like a signature. I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. Yeah, I had asked Joe, my co-host, about this. I was like, yeah, I have this idea on this question. I want to kind of change up the music question a little bit. And then we're going to put together a playlist of all the songs. And I'm going to go back and ask past guests and everything and just share it on Spotify. Everybody's hype song of what they are. Yeah. And that's a really, really good one. Mine could change potentially by the day, and that's okay. Do you have like a backup, like one that was a close second?
Yes. So it kind of, I have a whole playlist, honestly. I haven't updated it in a few years. It's kind of from that first year that I ever went fishing. Yeah. But Caught Up in the Country is as I'm pulling into Erie, there's a specific exit that I get off of. And as soon as I get off that exit, Caught Up in the Country comes on. And it's a feel good, you know, you feel like you're really in the back roads on that one.
I could definitely get behind that. Yeah. Joe said that his was Seven Nation Army from the White Stripes, which I can completely respect. I'm like, and he's a big bass tournament angler. Like he's got a 2022 Skeeter, and like he's in this to compete. Like he's all about it. And it makes perfect sense. To know Joe, it makes perfect sense for him. Mine is a little bit different.
Oh no.
Mine is $1 Million Baby.
The
new one, yeah. That's mine. The look on your face is priceless.
It gets the job done, you know. You just
it absolutely gets the job done. Oh my god, I don't know what it is. It just hits. I was like, mine would 100%.
That one little itch in your mind where
that's
like
it. Yeah, exactly. That one hook. Done deal. I'm like, that's definitely the one for me. But yeah, I think this will be kind of fun to see where people are at, because I used to ask folks all the time, like what they're listening to in general, just to get hyped up. And a lot of people would say like, oh, you know, or even now, you don't ever listen to music while you're fishing, do you?
Sometimes I do. It's on a rare occurrence, or if I'm like struggling to stay awake that morning, but.
That's kind of how I am. It's a rare occurrence these days. Like I'll change. I have a couple of playlists, like a speed up and a slow down playlist. If the bite's really, really slow and I have to like constantly remind myself, I have this slow blues playlist that I'll play. Where it's like, okay, just kind of play along like that. Or if it's like something where I've really got to power fish it, it's all like 80s, like thrash speed metal. Just like, just like cranking through, like keep that reel going, keep it going, you know, because it's like sometimes I'll get lazy and, you know, I need that reminder.
Yeah, everybody goes through those.
That's wild. So one of my other things that I ask all of our guests about, and this is there's a little selfish element to this, because again, like this, I'm learning as well. So when you're fishing in the spots that you're at, right, and you're out there doing your thing, and whether it's a great day or it's just hot garbage, it's always kind of nice to either celebrate or drown your sorrows with a really, really great meal. You know what I mean?
Ooh.
And I'm looking for local mom and pop stuff where you go to get some refreshment after you're done for the day.
Yeah. So if you're fishing in Erie, Pennsylvania, you're going to go to Teresa's Deli.
Oh, okay.
And at Teresa's Deli, you can get the most massive sub that you've ever had. I mean, I'm talking
love that.
Like a layer of meat on it. That sub will last you a solid 4 or 5 days afterwards. Like it is so big. I think you can also get like pizza there. But no, the tuna sub from Teresa's Deli. And then if you're wanting more of like a fast option, and this might sound odd, the buffalo chicken pizza from Country Fair.
I've seen that in your video.
The gas station. I will crush 2 of those shamelessly. I've never had a pizza or buffalo chicken pizza better than the ones from Country Fair.
That's a bold statement.
It is wild. And I actually put this to the test. I put somebody that I took fishing on it, and I said, all right, go ahead and tell me how it is. And even like that, their reaction of,
no kidding.
Oh my gosh, why is it this good? It's a gas station
it's
pizza.
Too good for a gas station. No kidding.
Yes. So Teresa's Deli, buffalo chicken pizza from Country Fair.
That's a 2 for you guys. Heard it here first. I love that. This is absolutely awesome. Kaitlyn, tell me a little bit. Let's talk more about like social media and stuff. Now, one of the things about Jigs and Bigs, We're absolutely giants when it comes to supporting women in fishing. It's one of the first things that I said I wanted to pay attention to. And our demographics, while it is still a small share, our demographics, there are women that listen to this show. I don't know why, because we're just degenerates on this show. Yeah. But apparently we make them laugh or something, and that's great. But we are huge supporters of women in fishing. I think in our first 10 episodes, I think 2 of our guests were women, which was great. Wow. I mean, it was awesome. And we try to do everything that we can. A big part of that is because I have 2 daughters, and I just want them to be able to do whatever the hell in the world they want to do. You know what I mean? They don't want to fish with their dad, that's fine. But whatever it is that they want to do, I just want them to be able to do it. Joe has a daughter as well, so we think a little bit differently. And I think that the fishing community needs to start realizing that this is a boys' club, but we need to welcome and support as many women in this industry as we can. Yeah. I have heard some horror stories from especially female content creators that are out there in the outdoor space. Now, again, if you don't want to share any horror stories or anything like that, that's fine. I understand that. But what's your take, Ben, on it overall?
Honestly, I was always, and everybody struggles with it, at least I think in my opinion. In the past probably 5 years, I feel like I've grown up a lot. And I think that this social media has really helped me grow up and realize that not everybody's going to like you. And there's nothing you can do about that.
Absolutely.
And that is perfectly okay.
Yep.
I used to care a lot about what people thought about me, right? When I first started this and I started gaining some traction and followers, I was so critical about, what are people going to think about this photo, or if I post this one? I've learned that it doesn't matter. Who cares? Yeah. If somebody likes what I'm going to post, cool. If they hate it, cool. I don't know if you've noticed it all, but when I first started the page, Cabela's reshared one of my photos, or they posted it on their feed.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
And it was probably the first big, really big exposure on one of my photos. And I noticed a massive uptake in followers or likes. The comments on that photo were some of the nastiest, most horrible things I'd ever read about myself. And I had to go through this mental, I can't believe somebody would say this. I should respond to it and just kind of turn it off and say, there's nothing I can do. People are going to say that. Yeah. And guess what? Who cares? Yeah. And so ever since that happened, it's just, there's nothing that anybody can say that's going to hurt my feelings. There's no message, comment, anything that anybody could say to me online or in person that would be oh, I'm so hurt. But I don't care. Yeah. You're hurt. That's a you problem. I'm so sorry that you feel that way.
It's wild. It's wild because people do feel so entitled to just open their mouths, because that's what the comment section's for. I get it. Yeah. But it's you make some really good points, but keep going.
No, but yeah, so that posting or seeing all those comments on that post, that was the first big, wow, people don't like what I have to post. And I had to sit with that and be that's okay though. Not everybody's going to. And so I talked with my brother-in-law about this, and he loves chess, right? He's an avid chess player. He watches a specific chess player on YouTube. I don't know their name, but on this specific chess player's YouTube account, anytime he gets a negative comment, he will pin the negative comment to the top of the comment section. And what it does is it incites conversation below that comment thread. So after this whole thing with Cabela's happened, and I was really upset about it, I was talking with my brother-in-law, and he was like, you should just start pinning the meanest comment that you get. And I was like, well, why would I do that? And he said, well, for 2 reasons. One, it'll incite conversation, right? If somebody has such a very strong opinion, it should, on the opposite end, incite conversation of the opposite opinion, right? People will disagree and they will have a conversation. Or 2, it will force whoever said it to have to man up and stand behind their comment.
What they said, yeah.
Exactly. So it's been really interesting. If you look at some of my videos, if you go and look at the comment, I do this to this day. The pinned comment will always be a nasty one, right? There's some of those pinned comments that have over 100 comments below them.
Oh, yeah.
And I can't tell you how many times, too, I've gotten a message where whoever said it and I pinned it will be like, I don't know why you felt the need to pin that comment. And I'm just thinking in my head, I don't know why you felt the need to leave it, but it's going to stay.
So I'll tell you, like, one of the things with Instagram that, and I get a lot of people, you know, we have a moderate following on Instagram. It was really the platform that I put a lot of effort into. As far as just making sure content was regular and replying to comments and also engaging on the app is separately. But one of the things I started to do was I would look for things on my my search page that were fishing related that I either had an opinion on or could add to the conversation or just felt like our audience might want to know about. And of course, I always give credit to the original poster and everything else. And even though they would get a tag, occasionally I would get someone who would say like, you never gave me credit. I'm like, did you read the caption? Did you look at the notification that said I tagged you in this? I'm like, it's all good. Just some people don't think. But some of these things would specifically fire people up. Like, and I'll give you an example. I love to post stuff on that feed and on our Facebook as well of like keeping fish. That's a hot topic. It's a hot topic, right?
Oh, yeah.
I have my own thoughts, and they align with what professionals in conservation actually talk about, that keeping fish to an extent is healthy for the environment. You can't catch and release everything. Otherwise, it's all going to go to hell, you know? There's a right way to do it, and I stand by that staunchly, but I will find, you know, a post where it's like a cooler full of largemouth. Oh, my God, largemouth especially. And then Kyle down the road would be like,
hey, man, you can't keep those fish. You got to keep those genetic. You got every single one. You got to release them.
And I just sit there and twiddle my thumbs because the community, like if you look at the analytics of what posts are doing the best, they're the ones that have a discussion in the comments. And if it goes off the rails, that's even better. You know what I mean? It's even better.
I mean, I get excited whenever I see the hate comments. I'm like, oh, this one's about to blow up. Like I'm here for it. I love them because, like I said, I'm not offended by it. There's nothing you can say to hurt my feelings. I know I'm not a bad angler. I'm not doing something illegal. So who cares?
Absolutely.
You know? Talk, let them talk. The more they talk, the better I do. So
I'd like a little bit of advice from you to give to our listeners who are fishing with. I heard this when I first started fishing for my wife. She's like, I'll go with you, but I don't want to put the worm on the hook. And I'm like, honey, I don't use worms. I fish almost exclusively artificial bait. And I'm like, you don't have to worry about that. But I see you in your videos rigging live worms and like injecting air pockets so that they float the right, like real, like skillful shit when you're using live bait. Yeah. Like, could you give a listener some advice as to like how to overcome that?
Taking a girl fishing?
Like, no, how to like overcome like the fear of like touching a worm or even touching a fish. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I definitely still struggle with that with some people that I fishing. Yeah.
Okay.
Like my dad, you know, I was like, hey, hold this. Look, you caught this.
Yeah.
This is so nice. But they don't want to. I personally, when I first started fishing, I felt this odd sense of guilt anytime I went to like bait a worm, right? I would be like, oh, I don't want to like hurt it. I feel like once you do it enough, you kind of get away.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, exactly. Or like, you know, you've all seen I've dropped a fish here and there. I'm not proud of it, but like you watch them swim off. You're like, all right, they're built for this. Like you know, they probably don't feel it as much as they do. I don't know. So, no, I think if I have any advice for getting better at it, I think the more you do it, and two, if you feel uncomfortable doing it, like you said, do an artificial version of it, like bait an artificial like worm, right? Do something so that way you're like, okay, if I do it this way, like maybe it won't bother the worm if you're really that, you know, serious about caring about what the worm feels.
You know, there is it was Alex Rudd who we had a conversation about, you know, I think this was during a conversation about the Alabama spotted bass, basically with bucket biologists out there being in bodies of water in eastern Tennessee now where there were never supposed to be, and the negative impact it's actually having on smallmouth bass. To the point where this could be like the end of smallmouth bass in those areas. Like it could be that serious. And we were having this conversation, and he brought up how folks will give this humanistic character to animals. And it's something that I feel like comes absolutely from a place of ignorance. You know what I mean? And it's not their fault. Like, I'm not calling anybody stupid or anything. It's just that they don't understand that these animals aren't people. You know what I mean? They don't have the same reactions to things. In fact, like they're meant to do like only a handful of things in life, like eat, poop, and make babies.
Yes, quite literally. Like that, like the king salmon in the salmon river, they literally swim into the streams to spawn and die. Yeah, that's like when people are like, "Oh, I gotta release it," I'm like, "So it can die?"
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Like somebody else is going to catch it and probably take it home.
That's
kill
exactly it. Or you hear folks that'll say like, "Oh, there's this big bass that lives over here." There's not a little underwater cottage that bass is chilling, like knitting a scarf, waiting for the spawn. Like that's not real. That is Bugs Bunny. Happening. Yeah, exactly. And I you know, there's people do things that they have to do sometimes. I'm going to give you an example. I'm not proud of this. My PB brown trout is 24 inches long.
Okay.
It was a spawner that they had, a breeder that they had released into this one tiny pond, and I was out this day in the multi-species scavenger hunt. I know you mentioned you having some interest about that, so we'll talk about that in a moment. So I'm out there and I'm at this one body of water, and I'm kind of new to BFS fishing, bait finesse system, but I love it because I've got carpal tunnel, and using spinning rods for those really light baits gets to be tedious if it's something I'm doing for like 6 or 8 hours. So throwing a bait caster in there really does kind of help my ability to keep fishing. So I've fell in love with this. I've found a handful of presentations that this is a great sort of pocket for, and I can keep myself rigged with my other spinning combos for different stuff. Like, so I've always got a drop shot. I've always got like a Ned rig, you know, something like that. But when it comes to moving baits, that's what I'm primarily throwing with BFS. And I hooked into this monster, pulled this brown out of this laydown that was out pretty deep. And this was after I lost a giant largemouth because I played him like an absolute amateur. Like BFS drag will scream like your spinning reels. Like it clicks. It's great. And I tried to horse this bass in and I lost him. Anyway, I get this brown in the net, and I needed a brown for the tournament. And I'm like, man, this fish is enormous. Now I have really small hands for a guy. Like holding a fish of this size, like I just couldn't I'm in the middle of a lake now being blown around by the wind, and I'm in my kayak. I had to use my fish grips on this trout. Yeah. I had to. Like, there was just no way around it. I moved him around supporting you know what I mean? I had to. I was like, I can't get a grip on him at all aside from his tail, and I don't want to hurt their gills. Exactly. And a fish of that size, I'm not going to harvest just because, for the mercury alone. You know what I mean? Like, it's a lot. My dad was like, "You're crazy. We should have smoked that son of a bitch." I was like, "You're right, maybe." But I'm like, I got the catch and release pin. It just arrived in the mail earlier. I'm psyched. Aww. So I'm delighted. I was like, I took a picture of this, and because it's the tournament's catch photo release, so you have a specific measuring board. You put the fish on the board up against the bump board, snap a picture, upload it into the app, and I thought I was going to get so much heat for that. Nobody said shit. Nobody said a goddamn thing.
If it's the right people.
Yeah.
No, if you're talking, they're going to celebrate you. Yeah. If it's the wrong people, they're going to criticize you in not even a constructive way.
Yep. I love it. So let's talk about this multi-species stuff. So here's the deal with the multi-species scavenger hunt. Every single month we do it, and it's entire month long. So we did one in April, we did one in May, we just started June. June registration is open until tomorrow if you want to get in on it, but we're doing one in July. June is a little bit weird because we're doing another tournament too. We're doing a bass tournament, a slot tournament nationwide. So anywhere around the country, you can do our tournaments. In fact, I kind of want to open up the multi-species scavenger hunt into Canada, just because we do have some good Canadian listeners that are up there, and I feel like they would eat this up. So
they might beat the pants off you, though. I will say there's some people that I know up in Canada that catch some pretty baller fish. So
you know what it is about Canada, and here's what it is. Canada is the second largest country in the world. This is trivia guy nerd shit. I'm sorry. Canada is the largest country in the second largest country in the world after Russia, right?
Yeah.
So it's a big difference between first and second, but it's huge. Canada only has the population of California. So they can't have the pressure that we have around the coasts of our area. You know what I mean? Like it's just it's impossible. So
with the abundance of lakes as well. I mean, if you zoom in on the map, there are just lakes after lakes after lakes.
So they do have, short seasons and everything. So basically what we do with this scavenger hunt, it is a scavenger hunt. We have a list of species, and the species that we chose are typically found in the vast majority of the country. Like it's impossible for us to put everything out there, and it would be crazy to try and like identify some species like in South Florida, stuff like that. It's crazy. So we have like 23, I think, in total. Like we've got blue catfish, we've got bowfin, we've got brook trout, we've got brown trout, we've got bullhead catfish, and we lump all the bullhead together. Black, yellow, browns, all of them. Yeah. Carp is the same thing. We lump all the carp together. You catch a carp, you can pop that in there. Channel cats, they can be found everywhere. We've got crappie, flathead catfish. You can't get those anywhere around here. Lake trout. You ever catch a laker?
No, but that's on the list as well. Oh my gosh, I would love to.
I know where you got to go.
Where?
You got to go to Moosehead in Maine.
Oh.
Yeah.
Huh. I've never heard of that one.
It's a huge lake. It is huge. I went there. I'll send you some videos. I went with another fishing content creator, Delirious Angler. He and I had gone and we had camped for like 3 nights there, and we had to drive like 6 miles in on logging roads. I live in Massachusetts. And this is in Maine. It took me 10 hours to get there.
Oh, so you're up in the middle of
we're in no man's land, like nothing. And I mean, I caught a beautiful laker. I caught a bunch of smallies. They have a kill order on their smallmouth up there.
Oh, I would love to. That sounds fun.
You would love fishing in northern Maine in the Maine woods. Sure. Oh my God. Yeah, I highly recommend it.
Wow.
So we got lakers. They're just amazing. They're huge. Largemouth, obviously. Largemouth and spots we combine. We've got northern pike and muskie, chain pickerel, actually any pickerel species rather will fit, rainbow trout, and I'll bet you could throw a steelhead in here and we would accept it. Because
or at least like a jack, like one of the smaller ones that look way more like rainbow trout.
That's the thing. I mean, the thing is they're scientifically they're the same. They just live different lives. So it's like I would absolutely let that fly. I wouldn't even bother making a steelhead. I would just lump it in with rainbow. I mean, because here's the thing about the points system. Size doesn't matter.
Oh, it's just about actually crossing it off. I'm great at that, man.
That's exactly it. It doesn't matter. The only time that inches really matter is if we have to break a tie. So we'll look at the total inches and figure all that out. So we got rainbows, we got rock bass. You catch some rock bass in the past, right?
Oh, the rock bass queen makes her appearance every summer.
Right. Smallmouth, of course. We've got snakehead. Sunfish, we lump them all in. If it's a long ear, a red breast, a bluegill, a pumpkin seed, they're all in there. You ever catch a tiger trout?
Yeah, actually I have.
Amazing fish.
My first photo ever on Stream Queen was with the tiger trout.
No shit. That's awesome. Now, tigers are interesting because I caught my first one just this last winter. I was out fooling around throwing my BFS combo with a tiny 2-inch swim bait on a small, like 16th ounce jig.
Sounds right.
And I flip this into this little like pile of timber, and this tiger trout comes out hunting at it like that. And I'm like, this is amazing. I was with my dog. It was the first fish he ever saw me catch. And he looked at it like it was like, what is this alien? And it was a good one. It was like 15 inches.
Yeah.
Like that's
they're great. They're beautiful too.
We've got walleye and sauger, and we will put saugeye in there too. And then we got white perch and yellow perch to round it out. So
that's awesome.
It usually takes like 13, 14 of those to win. Last month, we had an absolute hammer in here who caught 17 and he took it. I'll actually have that information up in this week's episode, who the winners were. And it's a blast. You should totally jump on. We have it. It all happens on Fishing Chaos, which is an app you can download on your phone. Search Jigs and Bigs, you'll find it, and it's a blast. The more anglers we have on, the more positions pay out. So it's a cool little turnaround. Plus, we do this raffle where if you don't place in the money, you get entered into the raffle and you can win prizes based on that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so it's a lot of fun. I am trying to eventually create it so that this way we can have sponsors come in and handle the prize money, and it can be free to enter. That would be my goal eventually, just to get people out fishing. And everybody has the same reaction where they say, this is great because it got me out of my comfort zone, and it made me kind of think a little bit differently. And really, at the end of the day, you walk away that much more of a seasoned angler in a really short period of time.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially when you're more so now open to the idea of catching something that you might not have wanted to, right? Like
exactly.
Whenever I catch a little bluegill or a sunfish, I'm like, okay. But it's something that you can be proud of. You're like, oh, sweet, I actually got to cross this one off today, even if it wasn't what I was going for.
Exactly. It's freaking awesome. I do want to ask you, we did have a question come through from one of I posted on Instagram last night saying, what do you guys think I should ask her? We had one guy, and it's the guy. It's the Wolf of Walmart. I don't know if you've seen his stuff on Instagram. Dave,
I have not, but that's a great name.
Dave Urkey is a California angler, a homie to the show. And he asked this question, and I'm curious. I want to actually kind of modify it. He was like, has Stream Queen's handle on social media been misconstrued for something other than fishing? And before you answer this, Kaitlyn, I do want to say, I think I have a theory on where Stream Queen came from, and I want you to definitely tell us where that came from. But I feel like it might have had something to do with Jamie Lee Curtis.
No, actually. I've definitely had somebody mistake it for Twitch streaming.
Yes.
I guess
yep.
There is another Stream Queen. Actually, funny story. I was oddly enough tagged in a Barstool podcast reel probably 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was this podcast on Barstool where the guy would interview OnlyFans models.
Oh,
right?
Gotcha.
And somebody tagged me in the comment, and I'm reading through this why is this relevant to me? I guess one of the OnlyFans models on the podcast mentioned her friend, the Stream Queen.
Oh.
And doing something a little raunchy together with her.
Gotcha.
And so somebody, I guess, that followed that account also followed me and was like, is this you? Are you the one? And I was like, not me. Wrong Stream Queen. But I guess there is another one just in a different industry. So that was the biggest confusion that I think I've ever gotten. But typically most people understand it from the get-go, or at least from the logo. You see the logo?
The logo for sure.
Yeah. And fun fact about that logo, I actually designed it myself, on my laptop.
Oh, really?
I'm a self-taught graphic designer, self-taught video editor. And so that's actually kind of my biggest, close to the heart moment is that, if you have my fishing rod, you have a logo that I personally created on it.
That's awesome.
That's really cool.
That's awesome.
But no, the name, I was fishing with these two friends that I had randomly met, I think through Instagram, Craig and Matt, and we were fishing at Yellow Creek Trout Club, and that's a place where you should easily be able to catch fish, right? It's not guaranteed, but it's as close to guaranteed as you can get.
Yeah, your best odds you're going to have are going to be there.
Great place to go.
Yep.
We were not getting shit that day. I mean, we couldn't get anything to bite.
Yep.
And then probably about halfway through the day, I started crushing them. And so we would walk up to a hole, I'd get 2 or 3, and they're using center pin rods, fly rod. I'm just using my tiny little girly spinning rod that I got from Walmart. This is pre-proficiency era. And I just start crushing them. And so I'm reeling them in. And Craig looks at me and he goes, gonna like have to call you the stream queen or something. Like, what are you doing over there? And I remember afterwards, I was like, can I use that? And he was like, yeah, sure. So when I decided to create the account, probably 6-7 months later, you know, I was like, I have that nickname that he threw out there that one time. So big shout out to Craig. I don't think I'd be here today if it weren't for that
That's
one
freaking awesome. That is I love that kind of shit because there's a story behind it and it's logical and it makes sense. See, I thought it was a play off of Jamie Lee Curtis used to have this title in the 70s. She was known as the Scream Queen because I think it was when she was in Halloween that it was like, oh yeah, she's like the scream, you know, that's what she was known for. Yeah. I think it was the first Halloween film. And I thought it was a riff on that, but that's even better. It's actually kind of similar to how I got the name Bobby Roast Beef.
My brain's working a little too fast here.
I say it's a little bit similar. It's only similar in the sense that it was a friend of mine. It was a guy I was in a band with that came up with the name, and the name is a riff off of a character from the movie Goodfellas. And this was in like 2005. I didn't even realize this. I'm coming up on like the 20th anniversary of Bobby Roast Beef being a thing for me.
Wow.
It's crazy. I feel good about it.
Big accomplishment.
Kaitlyn, this was awesome. We have one last question to go through, and it's a two-parter, and it's story time. It is story time. So I'm looking for two. I'm looking for the story that, like, if you were at an event, any kind of an event, and someone is just like, let's say it's an event where, like a wedding or something, where it's not a bunch of fishy folk hanging out, you know, and somebody bumps into you, say at the bar, and they say, hey, so-and-so told me that you fish. Tell me about that. Like, what's that story you're going to tell? The one where, you know, it went like, maybe it was just the most epic day. Maybe it was a PB. Maybe it was something huge. Maybe something went wrong and you were able to kind of like save the day or something like that. But that story you would lead with. And then the other story we want is the one where it's like the biggest. And there's no shortage of those. We all have millions.
I probably have way more of those than any other story. I think so. Oh gosh, I've got so many stories from over the years. Oh gosh, the one that I would tell somebody at a bar, like a feel-good one.
Yeah. Whatever one you're just like, oh, this is the one I got to tell you about, like that.
Oh goodness. Okay. Let's see. So I feel like all of mine are actually more so chaotic than anything else, but both of these stories kind of coincide in a sense.
Oh, okay.
So the right order might be the total mess up.
To reverse them? Okay, we could do that. Yeah.
Simply because it was all in one trip, which is really fun. So whenever I started steelhead fishing, I think it was back in 2019. Like fall of 2019, maybe fall of 2018, whatever. So the steelhead tend to come into the streams around September, October, and people can go up as early as August, right? Like my first trip of the year, I will go and scout in August, just to kind of see what the creeks look like, if there's any fish and trout run, so on and so forth. So my first steelhead season ever, the only practice I had was a bass pond in Morgantown. You know, the person who had taught how to fish was like, here's how you cast, here's how you reel. There you go. Okay. Make it work. So we go up to Erie super early in the season, no fish in the creek yet. There's no fish in trout run. Scouted all the creeks. And we went up 4 weekends in a row without seeing a single fish. Oh, wow. So during that time, he started looking up other places where steelhead might be in the streams earlier. And that's when this idea of Salmon River came up.
Gotcha.
So the conversation then became, you want to go to New York this weekend instead of Erie? And I was like, sure, why not? Like, why wouldn't we? Right. So pack up the car. Mind you, this is in a time period where all we knew was Walmart for baits and rods. Yep. So we have probably 4 or 5 catfish rods in the car. I had never wade fished before. So there was a pair of hip waders that were made out of this rubber material, and they had felt bottoms on them. They were
all right.
They were not comfortable. I'm 5'2", so they're supposed to be hip waders, and they came up to about the top of my rib cage.
Oh, no kidding.
So hop in the car, go up there to New York, and we start walking around the public land, right? We're asking people for help. We had one guy teach us that, like, you put a sponge on your hook, whatever. We talked to somebody who said, you know what you need to do? You need to get passes to the Douglaston Salmon River. You got to go private water. Ensure that you'll catch a salmon. It'll be great. So we're like, okay, sure. Grab a day pass, and we're reading through all the rules and things. Go park at this Douglaston Salmon River. There's like a hut, or not a hut, a building, small building. You can go inside, you get your pass, whatnot. Getting our waders on outside the car. It's probably 4:00 in the morning. It's pitch dark. We have the clunky headlamps, the oversized turtle shell backpack, with everything that we're not going to use in it. And then you have to go up to the staircase and just wait, right? Somebody from the Douglaston Salmon River comes out and is like, all right, you're good. And you just start walking. And there's a massive winding staircase that takes you down to the river. And person I was with at the time hears, go ahead.
It just takes off.
Beelines it. Okay, mind you, I'm 5'2". I have felt bottom waders. It's probably now early to mid-September. So the rocks are a little slippery. It's pitch dark, and I have no idea what I'm doing. I've never wade fished before, never crossed a river. So me and my 5'2" self get to the bottom of the staircase, and I'm looking in the water like, how deep is this? What do I do? I step in.
Oh, no.
And so I get back up before I go under, and I'm like, okay, what do I do? This water is running at, I don't even know what the CFS is, but it's enough current that if I take one wrong step,
you're gone.
I'm going down the river.
Yeah.
So I'm like shakily crossing this river in the pitch dark, mind you, with herds of older gentlemen around me just running, right? Compared to my speed, they're running across the river. So I'm like freaking out. I'm almost in tears at this point. People are laughing as they walk by me. You have like the one old guy who's like, hey, sweetie, are you good? Like, can I help you? And I was like, yes, please. Like, and so I'm grabbing onto some random person.
That's good. At least somebody offered some help.
Somebody noticed. So I get across land safely, and I'm like, what the heck? Like, I could have died. Everybody's like chuckling at me because, not to mind you either, when I was putting my waders on that morning, the clasp broke. So I had to then thread my yellow stringer, my neon yellow, can't miss it stringer, up through my waders. So I'm walking around with these rubber felt bottom waders being held up by a bright yellow stringer, almost drowning in the river. So that was kind of the funniest, most chaotic trip. And then, walk up the river upstream, start to cast, and we're standing in front of a pod of like 3 or 4 king salmon, right? And mind you, I haven't caught a steelhead at this point. We hadn't seen any, so we went up here to catch fish. And there was this. So this is the story I would share to people at a bar. Is after all of that happens in the morning, go up to this hole. I'm waiting there, everything that he's doing isn't working. He's got the sponge on. He's trying the flossing technique. He's trying drifting, everything. Nothing's working. And so then I finally was just like, I'm just going to stand here with my rod. I'm just going to hold it. And there's one massive king salmon right in front of me. And I kept looking at it and saying, I want that one. That one's like looks pretty.
That's the one, yeah.
And so I'm just standing there. And all of a sudden, I see it kind of jolt, right? Like its fin, it just jolted away from where it was. And my rod bounces almost out of my hand. Like I'm holding it, but not tight enough. And my rod tip bends, and this jolts up. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's running with my bait. Like, oh my, what do I do? And I'm looking at him like, I've never caught anything. Like, what do I do? So I'm fighting it completely incorrectly. I'm, reeling against him and everything. Mid-reel, my actual reel pops off and just starts swinging back and forth. This is all on video too, by the way. I just have to mention there's a video of my reel swinging back and forth, and he has to come up behind me, screw it back on. I'm like, what? Like, what do I do? This fish is probably 30, 40 yards downstream at this point. And I'm just like freaking out, shaking, almost crying. You can see the bright yellow stringer holding my waders. Somehow managed to get this fish in. When I tell you I'm holding this king salmon in a picture, and it is quite literally the length from my eyebrows down to my calf. Like, this thing was the size of me. Yeah, it was the
amazing,
craziest, most unforgettable fish I think I've ever caught in my entire life.
That's amazing. Oh my God. Like,
and there is video evidence of the reel swinging back and forth. And then there's a picture of me holding the fish at the end of the day. Yeah. So it's, that's what did it for me. It kept me coming back. So
that is unbelievable. Wow. That is awesome. The whole thing, the entire delivery and everything was absolutely perfect. Thank you for sharing that. Holy shit. Yeah. I'm gonna have to find this video. Because when you said like the reel had come off, I thought you were talking like the spool had come off. I didn't realize it came off the reel seat of the rod. That is crazy, Kaitlyn.
Oh yeah.
I can't believe you got that fish. That is amazing.
And like I said, I was in there kind of pissed off. It was like, I'm not gonna get it. I pointed at it. I said, I want that one.
Well, you got that one, all right. Damn, that is awesome. Kaitlyn, this was absolutely fantastic. I want you to do me a favor. Let the listeners know where they can find you, on what platforms. If you're partnering with anybody, you have any kind of promo codes or anything, want to direct folks to where they can get affiliate links, anything like that, let them know right now. Promote yourself a little bit.
Absolutely. So I am currently on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. For any girls out there, I also do dabble in Pinterest a little bit if you ever want to know where I get certain clothing items from. So YouTube, Instagram, TikTok at _stream_queen. That is my only account. I do not have any backups. And then as for, anybody that I partner with, that Pretty Purple rod in Bass Pro Shops, Cabela's, Sportsman's Warehouse, or on the Proficiency website. That's kind of my claim to fame at the moment. I do have a new partnership with Sportsman's Warehouse. So if you are, located near one of those, I highly recommend getting your gear from them. I love them and all that they have. And then, I think that's all that I've got. Awesome. I like to keep it small circle because I want everybody to know that what I use isn't because of a partnership that I'm using. Sure. It's because that's genuinely what I use and that I am a consumer of.
Yep.
So
that's awesome. That is great. Kaitlyn, this was absolutely fantastic. I can't thank you enough for being part of the show. I'm sure our listeners are going to go and follow you and check it out. And guys, I've been checking out her YouTube. I love your vlog style of videos, by the way. I am recently new to the YouTube game myself, and I'm close friends with what I would consider more of a veteran YouTuber, and she it was Fishing with Becca, and she had even said, she's like, I love the style of your videos. They're interesting, they're fun, and I'm like, that's a huge compliment. But I love that vlog style. I think it's fantastic because you get the whole sort of experience all in one. I think that's fantastic.
Thank you.
Appreciate you for being on the show. This is great. Could you do us a huge favor and just send us a picture of you holding a giant? Any species, doesn't matter, just holding a giant, and we're going to use it for the artwork on this episode.
Absolutely. I can send you that. I'll send you the picture of my crazy salmon.
Yes.
The video, if I can find it, I'll send it to you all.
I love it. That's awesome, Kaitlyn. Thank you so much. We appreciate you here at the show. You have a good one, and we'll catch up with you later, all right?
Thank you so much for having me. This is awesome.
All righty. Take care now.
All right. You too.
Oh, yeah. Great interview. Awesome to have Kaitlyn on. I was really, really amazed with some of the info that she had shared with us. I really kind of got a kick out of how when I asked her about her song for her hype song, how she shared that about like leaving at like 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, windows down with that like blasting. And I'm like, your neighbors must love you. That's got to be fantastic. Good stuff. It was a lot of fun playing overrated, underrated with her. She is great. Some of her answers kind of surprised me. But that's what I love about overrated, underrated. When we do stuff like that with a geographic region and like specialty stuff around there. Also interesting, I was completely under the impression that she was a native Pennsylvanian before, and I was wrong going into that. So it was kind of interesting to get somebody's take as somebody who's not native from that area. But great stuff, great stuff. Joe, I think we had one hell of a show this week. This was a fantastic one. Definitely a learning lesson for me to hit the record button fatso. But again, like I said, you guys will, I'm going to edit it all together. So all the content's there. Yep. It's just that first 30 minutes or so might not sound as, crisp as the, following stuff. Sure. I'm going to do the best I can with it. I'm going to do the best that I can with it, Yeah,
I'll be all right.
Yeah, it'll be all right. I think it'll be okay. I think we can work it all out, but good stuff, man. You got anything you want to wrap up with? Any shout outs or anything you want?
No, man. Let's. I'm trying to finalize a YouTube video right now. I'm just finishing the editing of bringing Jeremiah out in his first tournament. So nice. We'll. That's almost done. So that should be out in the next couple days. And other than that, let's just fucking wish me luck with the boat, guys.
Oh, dude, I think that after because there's no way you're not taking it to. You're not thinking about doing this sail before St. Lawrence.
No.
Yeah.
No.
So I mean,
that would be after.
I think you'll be fine up there, and then after that, I think you'll just have a new boat.
Might have a new boat.
Might not be the bad idea. Yeah, might not be the worst idea. And maybe we will do a little broke on the boat segment and say like, okay, so what's the decision here?
Hell yeah.
It'll be good. It'll be good. Yeah. We'll do a little chart. We'll get a dry erase board, the whole nine. We'll rent a conference room. It'll be great. I love it. Butcher and Joe, a road trip to Thayer's. I see that in your future.
Yeah.
100%. I also see a BFS exclusive send with the Butcher and I. BFS Butcher and Bobby. Yeah. The BFS Bros. That's what it is. The Bait Finesse Bros. New podcast. Yep. I love it.
Yep.
I freaking love it.
Yep.
All right. We'll go ahead. We'll wrap this sucker up, guys. Let you guys out of class nice and early. School is almost out. I can't wait. I'll be on the water that much more. And I have some work that needs to be done this June as far as getting my boxes checked for the scavenger hunt. The 29th is the bass tournament, the slot tournament. So far, we still have an unbelievably small number of anglers that are registered, and I'm kind of amazed. You guys should 100% be doing this, but I understand if you're a little gun shy after last year and you got, tornado warnings kept you off the water. I totally get that. Just remember, you have until basically midnight at the day before, midnight on Friday, to submit and register and get ready to go. Somebody did ask me a question about that this week. They said, is it okay if we pond hop? If we go, like one place isn't working out, can we go somewhere else? It's not. Because you have to check in on the app. When you get to the body of water, you need to check in there. You can't check out. Once you check out, you're done. So, make it worth it. Spend that 8 hours there. Pack a little sandwich and in a little juice box because you're going to need it. You're definitely going to need it. I love it, dude. I love it. All right, let's wrap this sucker up, guys. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. You guys are the best audience, the best followers, the best jig heads, the best everything. We could not do this without you. We appreciate you way, way, way more than you realize. As always, you can check out all of our links in the description of this podcast. Those are for our partners. Go and support them. Some of those you can even save some money with, and that's always a good thing. Let's be honest here. As well as the registration too for the scavenger hunt series that are showing up and for the bass slot tournament. Those are available for you to check out each and every episode. We've got what's pertinent for you in the description. So go ahead and check that out. We will be back in 7 days with much more Jigs and Bigs goodness. And you guys are still tagging us in all your fish picks, and keep it coming. We love getting in there and doing the liking and the commenting and the sharing and the saving and all that stuff to help you guys get a little bit more visibility and engage as much as we can, because that's what this game is all about. It's all about engaging. Guys, we'll see you next week with more Jigs and Bigs goodness. On behalf of the one and only Who the Fuck is Joe Brown, I'm Bobby Roast Beef.
Tits and ass, smoke some grass.
I'm working on the night moves. I love it.